You are watching Eswatini TV, Sibuko Semaswati.
A very, very good afternoon to you this beautiful Tuesday afternoon, and a very warm welcome back to your favorite teleeducation program, Home Study. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. I am hoping that you had a beautiful Monday evening and are ready for more learning on this beautiful, it's not hot today, it's a bit coldish, but hey, it's a beautiful day, like I have been saying for like 3-4 words of beautiful before, but I'm hoping that you guys are geared up and ready for another day of learning, and this is what your Tuesday looks like today. From 2 p.m. until 2:30 p.m. we have the grade 1 and 2 lesson, which is Siswati. From 2:30 p.m. until 3 p.m. we have English language for the grades 3 and 4. From 3 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. we have social studies for the grades 5 and 6. From 3:30 p.m. until 4 p.m. we have literature for the Form 1s and 2. From 4 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. we have Siswati for the Form 4s. And the last subject for the day is English language for the Form 4s from 4:30 p.m. until 5 p.m. And of course, a reminder about our social media platforms. We are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. Now, like I had said before, on the timetable, the first lesson is Siswati, which we're going to get to right now. I'm hoping that the grades 1 and 2 are ready for that. Nozipho is already with me in the studio. Unjani namhla Nozipho?
Ngiyaphila sisi unjani?
Ngiyaphila mina. Namhla sitawufunda ngemsindvo.
Yebo sisi.
Okay, ubheke ukuthi umfundzi wakho abe afunze nekupheleni kwalesifundvo.
Ngibheke ukuthi akhone kufunza kahle emagama eSwati aphenze akhone kwabhala.
Okay, ngethembe ukuthi bafunze ekhaya sebavele basilungisele isifundvo. Nozipho ngicabanga ungaqala nesifundvo sakho.
Ngiyakubingelela mfundzi ekhaya, lokubingelela ngoNozipho, ngithishela wakho Nozipho Mabunza. Lotabe ethula sifundvo sethu sesiswati selibanga lesibili pheceleti grade 2. Namuhla sitawufunza ngemsindvo lapho sitabe sibuka khona emagama lakhiwa ngawo lo msindvo. Usetawubukela sifundvo sakho kemfundzi, sonzela nanakulokulandzelako. Ipenseli yakho yekubhala, tincwadzi takho, likusasa liyakhanya incwadzi yemfundzi, nencwadzi yekufundza, nencwadzi yekusebentela. Grade 2 telibanga lesibili pheceleti grade 2. Asiqale ngekubuka isihloko sethu kemfundzi. Sihloko sethu sinetihlokwana letimbili. Sekucala kubuyeketa umsindvo kwesibili kubuyeketa umsindvo sesithathu sihlokwana ngumsindvo. Yini ke lebhekeke ukuthi ukhone kuyenta mfundzi ekupheleni kwalesifundvo? Ubhekekile ke mfundzi ukuthi bekucala ukhumbula umsindvo, kwesibili kukhumbula umsindvo yomibili lemisindvo lena wayifunza ebangeni lekucala pheceleti grade 1. Kwesithathu kulalela usho umsindvo. Kwesine kusho emagama lanemsindvo. Kwesihlanu kufunza umsindvo. Kwesithupha kufunza umsindvo kulokubhaliwe. Kwekugcina kubhala umsindvo. Asingeneke mfundzi esifundweni sethu. Utawukhumbula mfundzi ebangeni lekucala sifunze umsindvo. Usawukhumbula yini ukuthi uvakala njani sewunangamisa? Bona bonkamisa usabakhumbula yini? Asicale sikhumbutane bonkamisa. Asifunze kanye kanye ke mfundzi. A E I O U. Asiphinze mfundzi. A E I O U. Asikhumbutane umsindvo sewunangamisa. Asifunze kanye kanye ke mfundzi. Ha he hi ho hu. Asiphinze mfundzi sifunze kanye kanye. Ha he hi ho hu. Asichubeke ke mfundzi sibuke emagama lanalo msindvo. Nanga ke emagama lanemsindvo. Asifunze kanye kanye mfundzi wami. Hola. Hola. Naka umsindvo mfundzi wami la kulele gama lelithi hola. Holo holo. Holo holo. Uvela kangakhi ke mfundzi umsindvo kuleli gama lelithi holo holo. Naka ke mfundzi ukuthi uvela kabili umsindvo. Huma. Huma. Chubeka mfundzi unake umsindvo. Hala. Hala. Nalapha mfundzi utawuchubeka unake umsindvo. Lomunye umsindvo lesewufunze ebangeni lekucala ngumsindvo wona usawukhumbula yini ukuthi uvakala njani uma sewunangamisa. Nangu ke lo msindvo sewunangamisa. Asifunze kanye kanye mfundzi wami. La le li lo lu. Asiphinze mfundzi wami. La le li lo lu. Asichubeke mfundzi sibuke le msindvo emagameni. Uyawubona yini umsindvo l? Asifunze kanye kanye nange magama mfundzi lana msindvo l. Lidamu. Lidamu. Naka mfundzi umsindvo l. Lula. Lula. Ingabe uyawubona yini mfundzi ukuthi sewuvela kangakhi umsindvo l? Lapha uvela kabili. Lilala. Lilala. Nalapha mfundzi wami umsindvo l uvela kathatfu. Lulu. Lulu. Lulu ke mfundzi libito lemuntfu. Sathi libito lemuntfu silicala ngemsindvo lomkhulu. Ngemsindvo lomkhulu luhlavu lolukhulu. Namuhla sitawufunza umsindvo lohlanganise lemisindvo lemibili. Lokungu na lesayifunza ebangeni lekucala. Asengiubite lo msindvo lesiufunza lamuhla uthi nyalo ke asesiuhlanganise nangamisa. Asichubeke ke mfundzi sibuke umsindvo sowunangamisa. Asifunze kanye kanye. Hla hle hli hlo hlu. Asiphindze mfundzi. Hla, hle, hli, hlo, hlu. Cabanga ligama lelinalo msindvo mfundzi. Yini loku lapha kulesithombe? Asichubeke mfundzi sibuke isithombe setfu. Sithombe setfu mfundzi sikhombisa sihlabathi. 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 Nawo umsindvo mfundzi. Uyawubona yini umsindvo lesiufunza lamuhla kuleli bito sihlabathi. Sihlabathi. Nangu lo msindvo mfundzi wami. So uhamba nangamisa a. Asichubeke mfundzi sibuke letinye titfombe. Ubonani mfundzi wami lapha? Sihlahla. Yini ke mfundzi wami? Sihlahla. Leli gama lelithi sihlahla linawo umsindvo. Nawo mfundzi wami. Lo msindvo so uhamba nangamisa a hla hla. Sihlahla. Sihlahla. Nasi lesinye sithombe mfundzi wami. Ngabe ubonani lapha? Lapha mfundzi wami kunemuntfu, lo muntfu wendani uyahlobisa. Uphethe timbali utibeka kahle. Lokhu sithi yini? Kuhlobisa. Uyahlobisa. Hlobisa. Hlobisa. Nalapha nangu umsindvo. So uhamba nangamisa. Sithi hlobisa. Asichubeke mfundzi wami sibuke letinye titfombe. Ubonani lapha mfundzi wami? Lapha kunemuntfu wendani uyahleka. Wendani uyahleka. Hleka. Hleka. Nalapha nangu umsindvo lesiufunza lamuhla unangamisa sithi hle hleka. Hleka. Nasi ke lesinye sithombe. Ubonani mfundzi wami lapha? Ngemehlo. Yini mfundzi wami? Ngemehlo. Emehlo. Emehlo. Nalapha mfundzi wami ukhona umsindvo. So uhamba nangamisa o. Sithini? Hlo. Emehlo. Emehlo. Asichubeke mfundzi wami sifunze na indzatshana lesitayifunza kanye kanye lenesihloko lesithi tihlahla tamahlalela. Lephume encwadzini yemfundzi likusasa liyakhanya likhasi lemashumi lamathatfu nakubili. Asifunze ke mfundzi wami. Tihlahla tamahlalela tiyabukeka. Bomahlalela nahlelisile bayatinakekela. Batibuka bate bahleke. Bayatihlakulela letihlahla tabo tetitselo. Hlelisile uyajabula nakahlakulela letihlahla. Kuhle kuhlobile ngephasi kwaletihlahla. Sitawuphinza sifunze mfundzi wami indzaba yetfu. Sisayifunza sitawudvebela kanye kanye emagama lanemsindvo. Sitawucala kiso sihloko setfu. Kuso sihloko setfu. Tihlahla tamahlalela. Likhona yini lapha mfundzi wami ligama lelinalo msindvo? lesiufunza namuhla. Yebo mfundzi wami, tihlahla tamahlalela. Asiqhubeke ke mfundzi. Tihlahla tamahlalela tiyabukeka. Tihlahla tamahlalela tiyabukeka. Likhona yini ligama lelinemsindo lapha mfundzi wami? Yebo, likhona. Lekucala tihlahla, lesibili tamahlalela. Bomahlalela nahlelisile bayatinakekela. Bomahlalela nahlelisile bayatinakekela. Likhona yini ligama lenemsindo lapha mfundzi wami? Yebo, akhona mabili. Lekucala bomahlalela, lesibili hlelisile. Ngabe usakhumbula yini mfundzi wami ukuthi sidvebela ini lapha? Yebo mfundzi wami, sidvebela emagama lanemsindvo. Batibuka bate bahleke. Batibuka bate bahleke. Likhona yini ligama lenemsindvo lapha mfundzi wami? Yebo, likhona. Bate bahleke. Bayatihlakulela letihlahla tabo tetitselo. Bayatihlakulela letihlahla tabo tetitselo. Likhona yini lapha mfundzi wami ligama lenemsindvo? Yebo, akhona mabili. Bayatihlakulela letihlahla. Hlelisile uyajabula nakahlakulela letihlahla. Hlelisile uyajabula nakahlakulela letihlahla. Likhona yini lapha mfundzi wami ligama lelinalomsindvo lesiufunza namuhla? Yebo, akhona matsatfu. Lekucala hlelisile, lesibili nakahlakulela, lesitsatfu letihlahla. Kuhle, kuhlobile ngephasi kwaletihlahla. Kuhle, kuhle, kuhlobile ngephasi kwaletihlahla. Likhona yini ligama lenemsindvo lapha mfundzi wami? Yebo, akhona matsatfu. Lekucala kuhle, lesibili kuhlobile, lesitsatfu kwaletihlahla. Sesiyifundzile ke mfundzi wami indzaba yetfu. Asichubeke sibuke emagama lesiwatfole khona endzabeni. Sitawafunza kanye kanye. Asifunze ke mfundzi. Tihlahla. Tihlahla. Utawuchubeka ke mfundzi wami unake wona umsindvo. Tamahlalela. Tamahlalela. Hlelisile. Hlelisile. Bahleke. Bahleke. Bayatihlakulela. Bayatihlakulela. Kuhle. Kuhle. Kuhlobile. Kuhlobile. Sesiwafundzile ke mfundzi wami emagama latfolakala khona endzabeni yetfu. Asichubeke sibuke luhlavu lolukhulu. Utawukhumbula mfundzi uma sibhala emabito ebantfu, tibongo tebantfu netindzawo, sicalisa ngeluhlavu lolukhulu. Natike mfundzi, natike tibonelo mfundzi temabito ebantfu. Asifundze kanye kanye. Hlumile. Hlumile. hleliso, hleliso, hlelisile, hlelisile, hlengiwe, hlengiwe. Asichubeke mfundzi nalo luhlavu lolukhulu. Luhlavu lolukhulu luphindze lubhalwe nawubhala tibongo tebantfu. Asifundze kanye kanye nati tibonelo tetibongo tebantfu mfundzi wami. Hlatshwako, hlatshwako, hlophe, hlophe, hleta, hleta. Cabanga lesinye sibongo mfundzi lesinalo msindvo lesiwufundza namuhla. Wakabani wena lapho ekhaya mfundzi wami? Yebo mfundzi wami. Hlanze, hlanze. Nahlanze naye unawo lo msindvo lesiwufundza lamuhla. Asichubeke mfundzi wami sibuke emabito etindzawo. Sifundze kanye kanye. Hlatsi, hlatsi, hluthi, hluthi. Naka-ke mfundzi wami, akusiyo wonke lo msindvo lesiwubhala ngeluhlavu lolukhulu. Ngilo msindvo losekucaleni hi, hi, lesiwubhala ngeluhlavu lolukhulu. Bese ubhaleka kanjena. Asichubeke mfundzi wami, sibuke nangu umsebenti lesitawenta kanye kanye. Kulamagama khetsa ugibhilitele onke emagama lanemsindvo. Asifundze kanye kanye ke mfundzi wami sakhetsa emagama. Lihawu, lihawu. Ngabe ukhona yini umsindvo kuleli gama lelithi lihawu? Cha ke mfundzi wami, kude siyashiya asikibhiliteli. Sihlabathi, sihlabathi. Ukhona yini lapha mfundzi wami umsindvo? Ukhona? Nangu ngiyawubona, ngiyakuthemba nawe uyawubona. Holo, holo. Kude mfundzi wami siyashiya asikibhiliteli. Hala. Ukhona yini lapha mfundzi wami umsindvo? Yebo ukhona, siyagibhilitela. Sihliphi, sihliphi. Ukhona yini lapha mfundzi wami umsindvo? Ukhona, nangu ngiyawubona, nawe ngiyacabanga uyawubona. Siyagibhilitela. Lihiya, lihiya. Ukhona yini mfundzi wami lapha umsindvo lesiwufundza namuhla? Kude siyashiya asikibhiliteli. Hleziphi, hleziphi. Ukhona yini lapha mfundzi wami umsindvo? Yebo ukhona, siyagibhilitela. Hehetela, hehetela. Ngabe ukhona yini lapha mfundzi wami umsindvo lesiwufundza namuhla? Cha, kude mfundzi wami, siyashiya asikipiliteli. Hleta. Hleta. Ukhona yini lapha mfundzi wami umsindvo? Yebo mfundzi wami ukhona, siyagibhilitela. Asichubeke mfundzi wami, sephethe ngekuthi sikhumbutane ngalesikufundzile. Sifunze umsindvo, sawubona unangamisa. Asifunze kanye kanye mfundzi wami. Hla, hle, hli, hlo, hlu. Asiphinze mfundzi wami. Hla, hle, hli, hlo, hlu. Sibese sibona emagama lanalomsindvo. Asichubeke mfundzi wami, sifunze kanye kanye. Hleka, hleka. Hlobisa, hlobisa. Emehlo, emehlo. Kuhle, kuhle. Bayatihlakulela, bayatihlakulela. Siphindze sabuka indlela lesibhala ngayo emabito ebantfu, tibongo tebantfu kanye nemabito etindzawo. Loku ke sitsite sikucalisa ngeluhlavu lolukhulu lokungu. Bese ubhaleka kanjena ke lo msindvo. Nati tibonelo lesitibukile. Asichubeke mfundzi wami sibuke tibonelo lesitibukile. Uma ubhala libito lakho lelicalisa ngalomsindvo, silicalisa ngemsindvo lomkhulu. Nanga emabito ebantfu lesiwabone esifundvweni setfu. Hlumile, hlumile. Hleliso, hleliso. Nati tibongo lesitibonile. Hlatshwako, hlatshwako. Hlophe, hlophe. Asichubeke mfundzi wami sibuke tindzawo lesitibonile. Sifunze kanye kanye. Hlatsi, hlatsi. Hluthi, hluthi. Sesifike emaphethelweni esifundvo setfu ke mfundzi. Kepha ngeke ngihambe ngingakakunika umsebenzi ngabe ngindasono. Vula incwadzi yakho, likusasa liyakhanya, incwadzi yekusebentela, likhasi le-32 pheceleti 32. Wente umsebenzi wesibili pheceleti 2. Kulo msebenzi khetha emagama lanemsindvo wabhale ecembeni lesihlahla. Ngiyethemba usithokotele sifundvo sethu salamuhla. Lokuvalelisako nguthishela wakho Nozipho Mabunza.
Sibonga kakhulu Teacher Mabunza. Sifundo sakho besimnanzi, sethemba ukuthi bafundzi basijabulele ekhaya. Sesitawubona nethundweni netlanzelako.
Siyabonga sisi.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Mfundzi welibanga lesithathu nelesine. Sifundvo sakho lesilandzelako ye-English language ungayenzawo siyabuya khona manje.
I mean, God had to go at me a number of times before I finally swallowed this. Because we just have such a wrong mindset about what God expects out of us. And you know what religion is? Religion is what we think God expects out of us instead of us looking at what He's done for us. We have worth and value not because of what we do, but because Jesus died for us. Because we're no better than anybody else. Anything that we are that in Christ, or we're nothing at all. And I enjoy ministry so much more now. I'm so comfortable, and I love God, and I like myself, and I don't care what you think about that, but I just like myself. I spent enough years hating myself. I'm done with all that. Amen.
To return my son to me. I'm going to go get him.
Ow, it hurts! Hey, I haven't even touched you yet. Stop being a baby. Kandimba! Get back here! Kandimba! Kandimba! Where are you?
What's with that face? You don't feel well? How did your interview go?
Bad. Really bad.
Well, I'd like to have a cup of coffee, please.
Because I want to help you out, I really can't.
Your father won't let you.
It's just that at this time, the sales of the store don't justify hiring another person, Auntie.
But if that's the issue, I could work on commission, Sarah. I already proved to you I'm a good salesperson.
Look, I'm really sorry, but jobs don't just pop up because people need them.
Maybe you should find someone who feels as lonely as you do. Someone who knows how to spoil you and likes it.
A very warm welcome back to Home Study on Eswatini TV, and a very good afternoon to you if you have just joined us. This is the second lesson for the day, which is for the grades 3 and 4, and it is English language. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. Also joining me in the studio is our sign language interpreter, Nombumelelo Hadebe. Right now, I am with the grade 3 and 4 English language teacher, Makosonke Dlamini. How are you doing, sir?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Nogwazi?
I'm doing very, very well, thank you. Today we are learning about writing a paragraph, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Nogwazi, today we'll be learning about writing a paragraph.
Okay, what are you expecting your grades 3 and grade 4s to have learned by the end of the lesson?
So at the end of the lesson, Nogwazi, the learners should be able to construct sentences using given pictures. Mm-hmm. Then number 2, they have to be able to identify a noun and a verb in given sentences.
Okay.
And then they have to define a paragraph. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, they should be able to construct a paragraph.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for that, Makosonke. Grades 3 and 4s, I hope that you are ready for your lesson. And of course, a reminder about our social media platforms. We are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. Please feel free to use the WhatsApp number if you have any questions. Please text us those questions. Mr. Dlamini, you may please begin with your lesson, sir.
Thank you so much, Nogwazi. Good afternoon, dear learners. Here with you is Mr. Makosonke Dlamini will be taking for English grade 3 and 4. So as Nogwazi had said that today we'll be talking about writing a paragraph, and I've already mentioned the the objectives for our today's lesson. So we will start by looking at the new words that we'll be using now and again in our today's lesson. So dear Len, I think you still remember that in our previous lesson we were learning about nouns. So let's look at the meaning of the word noun. Roughly, a noun is a word that names a person, a place, and a thing. So then our next new word is a verb. So dear Lena, a verb is a doing word. So then that means there is an action that is being described by this word verb. So the next new word is a sentence. A sentence is a group of words that has a subject and a verb and expresses a complete thought. Roughly, a subject can be a noun. It can be a noun, or else it can be a pronoun. So these are the words that are actually associated with a subject in a sentence. Then you have a verb, and then they have to express a complete thought. Then lastly, we have a paragraph, which is a group of sentences that forms a unit. So a collection of sentences that forms a unit give us a paragraph. So if I have one or two sentences, then that means that can actually end up giving me a paragraph. So dear Lena, so as I have mentioned that in our previous lessons we learned about a noun and verb. So with the previous teacher, Mr. Lamini, you learned about verbs. That is, a verb is a doing word and the different types of verbs. And with me, you learned about nouns. That is, we have two types of nouns that we covered by that time. That is countable and uncountable nouns. So dear Lena, let's move on. Now I want us to make sentences using the pictures below. So I have this picture. This picture, dear Lena, as you can see, this is a child. This is a child. What is the child doing? Dear Lena, the child here is playing. So the child is playing. So let's say the child is Coco. Coco is playing. She is not learning. She is not working, but she is playing. So Coco is playing. Alright. Let's now move on and look at the next picture. That is picture number 2. Wow. I guess, dear Lena, even at home where you stay, you do have these kind of animals. So this animal is a cow. It's a cow. That is a domestic animal. So what is this cow doing here? So the cow here is drinking water. The cow is drinking water. As you can see, dear Elena, here, there is a river here. This is a river. So the cow is drinking here. Alright, dear Elena, let's move on and look at the next picture. A picture of a girl. What is she doing? If you can look closely here, there is a fork, and here there is a knife. What is she doing? Because if you can also look here, you can see that there is a plate full of food. There is something in the plate, a variety of food. So the girl here is eating. So she is eating. Let's say what she is eating is breakfast. She is eating breakfast. She is eating breakfast. Dear Len, we have to remember that at the beginning of a sentence there must be a capital letter, and then at the end there must be a full stop. Okay, that's a sentence. Unless it's a question. So if it is a question, then there must be a question mark at the end. A question mark, dear Elena, looks like this. So every time, and there should be no other capital letter in between the words in a sentence unless it's the name of a person or a place. Okay, dear Elena, let's now move on and look at picture number 3. Alright, as you can see here, there is something that is being done by this boy. What is this boy doing? There is a boy. What is he doing? Dear Elena, I hope you can see here that there is something in front of the boy. There is it. So the boy here, let's use the pronoun he. You can see, dear Elena, here that I have started my sentence with a capital letter because that's a pronoun for a person. So we have to make sure that we begin a sentence with a capital letter. So he is reading a book. He is reading a book. Then at the end now, I put a full stop to mark the end of the sentence. Alright, Dylan. Listen now. So here the first girl that we had in our picture is Kuku. What was she doing? There is Kuku. He said Kuku is playing. Okay. Kuku is playing. Kuku is playing. And then the second one, that is the picture of a cow. The cow here is doing what? The cow is drinking water. The cow is drinking water. And that is the activity that is being done by the cow. Then the next picture, that is picture 3. We have a girl here. What is she doing? As I have mentioned, dear Elena, that in front of the girl there is a plate full of something that has to be eaten, and then there is a fork on her hand and then a knife. So then the girl is doing what? The girl is eating breakfast. And then lastly we have Lihle. What is Lihle doing? Lihle is reading a book. Lihle is reading a book. So if we look at all these things, dear Elena, this one is an action that is being done by whom? By Kuku. So here Kuku is our subject. That is, this one is a noun. Remember, dear Elena, that I said a subject in a sentence can be either a noun or a pronoun. It can be one of the two. So Kuku is the name of a person, so is a noun. Then what was she doing? She was what? Playing. So here I can say Kuku is playing, and playing is what? Is the verb. So let's go on, dear Elena, and identify nouns and verbs from the sentences that we have already constructed. So I think you can notice, dear Elena, that here at the beginning of the sentence I have used a capital letter, and at the end I have used a full stop. These are punctuation marks. They are very, very important whenever you are constructing a sentence. Make sure, dear Elena, that you use a capital letter at the beginning of the sentence and use the full stop at the end. Even here, the cow, the T is a capital letter, and then at the end I have what? I have a full stop. Okay, So now let's identify nouns and verbs in these sentences. Okay, so here, dear Lena, I have this one, Kuku. This is the name of a person, and then that means Kuku is what, dear Lena? Kuku is a noun. And then this one that is playing is what? This is a verb. This is a noun and this is a verb. So, Tielena, I think you still remember when we were defining what a verb is, that a verb is a doing word. Alright. So that's why here in our sentence we have Kuku who is playing. So playing is the verb. That is the doing. This one is the doing word. It's actually telling us about what is being done by whom. By Kuku, who is a noun. Alright. Let's move on, Elena, to the next sentence. So the cow is drinking what? Is drinking water. So here our noun is what? Is cow. This is our noun. And then for our verb, we have what? Drinking. So this one is the one telling us about what is being done by the cow to the water. Okay, so let's move on to the third one. That is, Sihle is eating her breakfast. Sihle is eating her breakfast. So here, still I've used a capital letter because this is the name of a person. Dear Lena, if you have to look at this one, let's go back and look at this one, cow. Although cow is a noun, but there is no need for us to use a capital letter because it is not at the beginning of the sentence. Okay, so now let's move on. Unless it was at the beginning of the sentence, let's say if the sentence was cow is drinking water, then that's when we'll have written C as a capital letter. So now let's move on. Here we have Sihle. We have started the sentence with a capital letter. Sihle is our noun. So here this is our noun. That is the name of a person. What is she doing? She is eating her breakfast. So eating, that is the doing word. So this one is our verb. Okay, dear Elena, let's move on and then put all this work into this table. So for number 1, our noun is Kuku. So we have to write the noun here. Picture 1. Noun is Kuku. Then what about the verb? The verb is what? Playing. This is the doing word. Play. Okay. Then the next sentence, the cow is drinking water. So cow is our noun. That is a cow. And then the verb that we have here is drinking. Okay, so number 3, we have Sihle who is eating her breakfast. So Sihle is our noun and eating is our verb. So here we have Sihle and our verb is eating. Okay, Tielena, now we have identified the nouns and verbs from the sentences. So now let's move on and look at this one, that is activity 3. So sentences with the same idea can be grouped to form one unit. Sentences with the same idea can be grouped to form one unit. What name can be given to the group of sentences? what name can be given to the group of sentences? Jalen, I think if you can remember very well what we are doing up there, all the things that were being done by these different people and this animal, we can actually link these things or put these things together to form something. Okay, so the group of sentences that we have been writing there can give us what you call a paragraph. I think you still remember in our lesson when we were looking at countable and uncountable nouns that there are things that can be counted and things that cannot be counted. But here, for our today's lesson, here we have a sentence whereby we define a sentence as a group of words having a subject and a verb and expresses a complete thought. But if there is a group of sentences, then that gives us what we call a paragraph. Okay, so now let's move on and then look at the definition of a paragraph. Here then, a paragraph is a group of sentences. Is a group of sentences, not a sentence. It's a group of sentences. Okay, that forms a unit. Because initially we had what? A sentence, and then a collection of sentences will give us what? A paragraph. So now we have this example of a paragraph. This is our example of a paragraph. So here there is this paragraph whereby I started the sentence with a capital letter. I have a small family. Then full stop. And then now capital letter, my father is the head of the family. Full stop. Now I have two sentences. This is sentence 1 and now I have sentence 2. His, now I start with the capital letter. His name is Mandla Shabang. Mandla is the name of a person, so I have to use a capital letter to write the name of a person. And Shabang is a surname, so still with Shabang I have to write the surname using a capital letter. He is a farmer. He is a pronoun. I have to use a capital letter. So there is a full stop at the end. Then now I start another sentence using a capital letter. He has cows, comma, goats, comma, and a vegetable garden. So I was using these commas to separate these animals, that is the cows, goats, and then now I am joining this one, that is the vegetable garden, to this one, and I'm using this one, and then now I write a full stop at the end to denote that this is the end of our sentence. So now I have this one, that is my mother is Ndombi. Ndombi, that is the name of a person. I have to use a capital letter, and Ndombi home, Kumalo, that is the K is also supposed to be a capital letter because that is the surname of a person. Then now I write a full stop. You can see, dear Elena, here that I started with a capital letter, but the mother is not a capital letter. It's only the name of a person, that is Ndombi and Kumalo. These are very, very important. The name of a person and the surname, they have to be written using a capital letter and then a full stop at the end. So now I start another sentence. She is a housewife. Still, dear Elena, I used what? A capital letter, S for she, and a full stop at the end. And this is our paragraph. That is an example of a paragraph. Okay, dear Elena, I think now you remember that I talked about using what? Capital letters at the beginning of a sentence, and for names of people, places, and even surnames. Alright, I can't say Mbabane using a small letter for M. And then we use a full stop. Full stop to mark the end at the end of a sentence. Okay, Tielena, I think you still remember when and how to use these punctuation marks. Okay, so now let's write a paragraph about yourself. Write a paragraph, and then the topic will be myself. That is your exercise for today. Make sure that you describe yourself, who you are. Write your name and everything that is about yourself. Remember to use the correct punctuation marks for writing a paragraph, because today our main focus is about writing a paragraph, which is a collection of sentences. So let's move on now and look at the summary of what we have learned. So here we learned about a sentence. That a sentence is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. So we said a subject can come in a form of a noun. Can be a noun, or else the subject can be a pronoun. So I think you still remember that a pronoun is a word that is used in a place of a noun. If you don't want to use a noun, they say vusi. You can't be saying vusi now and again. Sometimes you have to use he. That is a pronoun for vusi because he is a male. Or let's say we have another one, kuku. You can use she because kuku is a female. Okay, these are pronouns. And then we learned about a verb, that a verb is a doing word. It's actually telling us about what is being done by what? By the subject. That can be a noun or a pronoun. Like what we're looking at, whereby we're looking at a cow that was drinking water from a river. So the cow was drinking water. So the action word was drinking. So that is what was being done by the cow. So then we ended up looking at a paragraph, which is a group of sentences that forms a unit. So if you have a group of sentences, let's say they are actually the sentences that have to be in the form of a group, they have to be related. It cannot sound well if, let's say, you are talking about your favorite sport. Let's say you are talking about your favorite sport. Now then you also talk about subject. Same paragraph, no. It can't be like that. You have to talk about the favorite sport and then finish with the favorite sport and then proceed to the subject if it has to be like that. But if you talk about these two in the same paragraph, then that could be a problem. Okay, dear Elena, I hope you got this assignment, and make sure that when we meet again, then you have to be ready with this assignment, whereby you have to tell me about what you wrote, especially about yourself. Right? That marks the end of our today's lesson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dlamini, for your lesson. It was very, very informative, and we are hoping your grade 3s and 4s actually enjoyed it, and we will be seeing you soon, I hope.
Thank you so much, Nogwazi. Dear Elena, please make sure that you always take the necessary precautions for the COVID pandemic, and make sure that you always wash your hands with running water and soap, and put on your face mask whenever you go and play with your friends as you are at home, and then whenever you go to the shops and other places. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dlamini, for that. Grades 5 and 6, please get closer to your screens, because up next is your social studies lesson with Ms. Gugu Nhlego, who will be right back after this.
once umfuje ngibekise uthola noma licingo lakhe say message seniyacabana seniyabulalana nje uyathi kuyashaqisa
kulaba labahlukubetekako nekwe ukuthi ngalokuthi phela kuhlukubeteka okay ke ngaqala namuhla kwanza uthi iprocess leqhubekako kungcono ukuthi nje kusina kusaqala uvele ukureport ungameli ukuthi umuntu azaphindza akushaya noma aphindza akurepe yabo akuphinzeleli
asisese saba ngisho asathi nokuthi sesikhiya sile etindlini ulala ugcokile ulala ukhile ulala ubophile eminyango uthi solo wendela bona kepha banayo indlela yokungena
ngithi mine bobabe abayekele kuhlukubeda bomali emakhaya ngoba labantwana bese basala bathi ntsandzane bese abasathi ngoba nalabo labantwana labasele kubo nabo babahlukumede kushoda naNkulunkulu akuna ukubulele labantu abasele awubacabangela ngathi lo soyekuthatha kwente njani uNkulunkulu is the only solution empilweni yomuntu.
Watch the brightest talent search in the land on Eswatini TV every Sunday at 5 p.m. The Spotlight. Put me on.
The change in technology, out-of-home digital media is designed to grab the attention of people who are always on the go. You can now watch your favorite show, Usile Breakfast Show and Dinzaba at 7 on your favorite YouTube channel.
It's simple. You can stream these shows by following these quick, easy steps. Number 1, open YouTube. Number 2, search for Eswatini TV and click on Eswatini TV. Number 3, after you had entered on Eswatini TV, look for Dinzaba or KPS. And while you edit, don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell button to get notifications of our video uploads and streams. And lastly, enjoy the stream. Stay home and watch Eswatini TV. Stay safe.
Welcome back to Home Study on Eswatini TV. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini and this is the third lesson and it's the grade 5 and 6 social studies lesson with Kukun Hlego, who is already with me in the studio. Or also joining me in the studio is our sign language interpreter Nompumelelo Hatebe. A very good afternoon, ma'am. How are you?
Good afternoon, Nogwazi. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much.
I'm fine too.
Today we're doing technology.
Yes.
Okay, what are you expecting your grades 5 and 6 kids to have learned by the end of the lesson?
Okay, Nogwazi, thank you. The learners at the end of the lesson, I'm expecting them to give the different examples of modern technological objects and also state the different uses of modern technological objects and again identify the modern forms of technology used in communication by the community, and lastly identify the modern forms of technology used in banking.
All right, it sounds very, very interesting. Grades 5 and 6s. I hope that you are ready for your lesson. And of course, another reminder about our social media platforms. We are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. And of course, if you have any questions for this lesson, please feel free to use the WhatsApp number. Ma'am, you may please start with your lesson.
Thank you, Nogwazi. Okay, today our topic is saying, what is technology? What is technology? As I have already stated that we are supposed to give different examples of modern technological objects. We are looking at the modern technological objects. remember that we are looking and we are doing. We are in an era of technology. So it is very, very important that in this era that we are in, we learn some of these objects, how they operate. And again, as I have said earlier on, that we are going to look at the uses of modern technological objects. How are they used? In fact, we are so grateful that we are now in the era, or we are having a generation which is technologically inclined. So with them, it is not a problem. But the problem is with the old Stone Age generation. Again, as I have said, that we are going to identify the modern forms of technology used in communication by the community. As we all know that long time ago, when you wanted to send a message, someone was sent maybe to walk a very long distance just to pass a message. And today, as we are saying, we are in the world of technology. A second is too much. Whenever something has happened, it is easy for one to pass the message and also identify those objects we are talking about. So it is very important that now we are going to look at the keywords. These words are very important. Why? Because they are used in the lesson. You can always see them. So it is very important to know their meanings. First of all, looking at the word technology. What do we mean? As the topic said, what is technology? We are talking about knowledge, which means you acquire something, you make new objects, the knowledge to make new objects or tools to solve people's problems. That is the knowledge that you have to make new objects or tools to solve people's problems. And now, again, we are talking about the internet. What do we mean? We are saying by internet, it is technology that connects the computer or computers all over the world. That is the internet. So nowadays, it doesn't matter where you are. You are in America, you are at Eswatini, you chat like nobody's business, as if the person is close to you. Why? It is due to the internet. Okay, now let us look at the satellite. What does this word mean? This is a man-made object that moves around the earth. It moves around the earth. So now let us look at the word deposit. What do we mean? We are talking about putting your money into the bank. It means you are depositing the money into the bank. And also there is this term, withdraw. What does it mean? It means taking money from the bank. As we all know that sometimes it is very hard to live without having money. But if you do have money in the bank, it is easy for you to go and withdraw. And let's look at this one. World Wide Web. WWW. What does that mean? We are talking about a very big store of information, a huge information, a store of information like a very big library. These include the text, the pictures, the sound, and the videos, which anyone can access from any computer on the internet. As young people, you like watching videos, you like watching pictures. Where are these pictures coming from? So from today, you know that you get them from this huge store of information, which looks like a big library. And now let us talk about banking. What are we saying when we are talking about banking? When we're talking about banking, it means you take money, you deposit money, or you withdraw money at the bank. So withdrawing and depositing money at the bank, that is banking. So as I have already said, the question is, as the topic has said, what is technology? I have said that it is the knowledge to make and use new machines or tools that help people in their daily lives. That is technology. It's the knowledge to make and use new machines and tools that help people in their daily lives. For instance, computer technology and transport technology. As I am speaking, you are watching, you are looking at me. If it wasn't for the technology, I do not think you will be interested in listening to me. But because technology has brought the new move of how things should appear into this world, then you sometimes find yourself glued at what you are watching. So below is a table of examples of old and new technology. If you can just look at that table, long time ago, you will find people moving around carrying their radio. Why were they carrying their radio? It's because they wanted to listen maybe to an important information. And then from there, this is an old type, but it was then improved into a CD player, whereby now you can play the different kind of music that you like. And again, in the olden days, we were calling you rich when you buy an audio cassette, when you have it, an audio cassette. We will classify you under the elite. Why? Because now with the audio, you were able to tape yourself. Maybe you want to hear yourself, how you speak or how you sing. Are you singing properly? Then you will tape yourself using the cassette. And because we are saying we are in the world of technology, then no more cassettes are used, but instead they are using a memory stick. A long time ago, we had telephone handset, a telephone handset, whereby it will ring. You cannot move with it. It was stationed in one position. And when it rings, you will go and answer it. But guess what? Today, we are having cell phones. So now, with the cell phones, you go anywhere. You go everywhere. you are not limited that you are supposed to be stationed in one place. You move around, you answer, you listen to music, you do anything. It is done in a cell phone. So a stove, when we grew up, we only knew the coal stove. We were calling it a welcome Dover stove. So this kind of stuff, when you want to reheat food, maybe you want to eat food that looks like it is fresh. So you had to go and get the coal and then make the fire there. But guess what today? We are now using microwave. And in the olden days, we had the type of television which looked like a camera. But now, look at what is happening. We are now having a flat screen, which means it is now improved. And an aerial, in order to receive maybe a signal somewhere, maybe from the Eswatini TV, you will have to buy an aerial and put it on top of the roof. But even today, we are saying, as the world is improving, we have got satellite dish. As I was saying earlier on about the old technology, you are watching and you are looking. This is the radio I was talking about. You will be going around looking or having that radio. You want to listen or you are enjoying a certain type of music, but you will carry this. And then this one is the improved now. The improved type of radio, which is a radio cassette. And again, as I have said, that there was this type of technology, which is the cassette. With this one, you will tap yourself, you will do everything. You will do what your heart desires. And it has improved to a memory stick. You can just carry this small thing, but thinking, guess what? You will know that a lot of information is being installed in this small thing that you can see today called the memory stick. And we have got that type of television I spoke about, that we were used to the type of television which looked like a camera. And now we are talking about a flat screen. It depends how much cash do you have. You can even buy the 65 centimeter, which is very big. It shows that the world is improving. Okay, as I have said that, technology always improves with time. We are saying here, modern technology is invented. Modern technology is invented, and it helps people in the modern world. We shouldn't live like the Stone Age people, as I have said earlier on. The world is improving, and people are capable of inventing. And now we are saying the technology that was used in the 1960s is different from the technology used today. So here we are now looking at technology in banking. We are saying in the olden days, when you wanted to bank money, you were supposed to get inside the bank and then queue there for a very long time. Why? Because you will find that the queue is very long. But we are so grateful for the people whom God has given the knowledge of inventing. And now you can do what is called electronic banking. There is no need for you now to go inside the bank, not unless you have a problem. And we are having this auto teller banking, which means whether you want to deposit money or you want to withdraw money, you can do it outside. And we call this an ATM. And you will be doing the internet banking. As I have stated earlier on, that even in transport, technology is also there. It is being applied. You remember when you had a car, the windows you used to, I will say, you will wind whatever. You want fresh air, you want to close the window, but it wasn't electronic. But look at what is happening today. We are having electric windows, we are having airbags and air conditioners. If it is hot, now you can open. It is electronically. And as I have stated that, even in communication, I spoke of the handset that was placed in one place. But as with time, we are saying technology improves. We've got cellular phones, we've got internet, email, and satellite television, which means now it is easier to send the information. And technology in farming, we used to yoke the span of oxen when you want to plow. But as technology has improved, we've got the tractors now that we use when we are farming. And if you have got a problem in hearing, instead of you looking at the person whom you are talking to, there is a way of improving your hearing, which is known as a hearing aid. You now use that and you are able to hear the person when talking to you. And now we are also talking about digital cameras and scanners and photocopying machines. We also use that. Let us talk now about the satellite communication. Satellites are like television aerials high above the earth. I guess you can look at your house where you are. You can tell that up above the roof there is a satellite dish. Why is it always up? It is up because you are supposed to receive. The satellite dish is there to receive all the signals that are available. That is why it is always placed high above the earth. And now the satellites receive and they send information around the world. If your school can come here at the TV station, you will see a number of satellite dishes. They are sending and they are receiving the information around the world. They are not confined only to deal with messages or information from Eswatini, but around the world. So where is this kind of technology used? We are saying it is used in radio, it is also used in television broadcasting. and it is also used for communication using the internet. Why are they important? Satellite produces clear pictures and sound. The reason why we are advancing because we want to get clear pictures and also a clear sound. You do not want to strain your ears listening to something that you cannot hear properly, and you cannot destroy your eyes trying to look clearly. What is this picture all about? And this has enabled people to watch live programs on television such as world news and Olympic Games. We like watching soccer. Maybe you were watching Chiefs and Pirates on your television. You were just enjoying. You were watching because the pictures were clear through the satellite dish that has been installed at your home. So the internet, we are saying, how does the satellite communication work? We are saying here, the internet is a kind of computer connection that helps in the sending and receiving. As you can see here, we are saying it's a kind of computer connection that helps in the sending and receiving of information from connected computers around the world. As we spoke of the World Wide Web, we said this is a very big store of information, like a very big library, whereby you will find some text, you will find some pictures, you will also get some sound and video messages, which anyone can access from any computer on the internet, which means it is not installed in one place in a certain computer. Every computer has the internet and all the information that you want. When you switch on your computer, it means, and connecting to the internet is like you are visiting all those libraries at the same time. This is very interesting. Long time ago, you couldn't get this. You have to struggle. You have to walk long distances. But now things are brought closer to us without moving even an inch. You can read books and articles. You can look at pictures. You can watch videos and listen to music over the internet. As you know, young people these days, they are always with their earphones. They make sure there is a kind of music they are listening, and when you talk to them, it is hard for them to hear you. Why? Because they are glued to what they hear from their ears. Email, we are saying, it's a way of sending messages via the internet to another person or a group of people. So what do we use banks for? We are now talking about the use of technology in banking. We are using banks to keep our money safe. Time for keeping money at home elapsed long time ago because there are rats at home. At least when you take your money to the bank, it is safe. The olden days, when you want to deposit or withdraw money, you were to get inside the bank and do all the transactions for the day. You will go as early as 8 when the banks open, and you will wait, stand in a queue just because you want to deposit or to withdraw money. Those are the days of the past. But technology has introduced a new way of banking, and this type of banking is called the electronic banking, or this include the auto teller machine. Some people will always know this is an ATM. So we must also know what ATM stands for. It stands for auto teller machines. And you must also have a credit card, a cell phone, and internet banking. So where are ATMs located? We are saying ATMs are located outside banks, but they are also found in many other convenient places. And what are you supposed to have when you want to use an auto teller machine? Don't run now and said, the teacher said you can go and get money at the ATM. There are some things that you need to have in order to access the money from the bank. First of all, you need to have an account with the bank, which means you cannot just go to any bank and withdraw money if you do not have an account. Secondly, you must have an ATM card. So this card is used when you want to withdraw the money. And another thing is that you must have a PIN. This number shouldn't be known by everyone you come across, telling them that my PIN is. This is confidential. That is why it is known as a personal identity number. And lastly, you must have money in your account. So what are the advantages of using an ATM? You can withdraw money at any time. You can bank money at any time. There are no restrictions that now the bank is closed. You do everything at the ATM. There are usually short queues in an ATM. So what are the disadvantages now? They usually allow people to withdraw only a small amount of money per day. They cannot give you 100,000. So you need to get inside the bank if you need such an amount. You can't withdraw money if you have forgotten your PIN. That is a restriction. You can try and you won't succeed. So once you forget the PIN, please just get inside the bank and request whatever you want to do. And it is easy for someone else to withdraw money from your account once she has your PIN. That is why it is called a secret code or a personal identity number. There is a bank charge. You don't do the banking or whatever or deposit or withdrawal without a charge. So you must always know that there is a charge that is always imposed on whatever you want to do at the bank. So dear learner at home, may I give you these questions for you to answer. You list the 4 banks that are found in Eswatini. You know the FNB, First National Bank, the Standard Bank. We have got also Swazi Bank, and the last one is also, which bank is it? Standard Bank, FNB, and also Nedbank. Then name 3 things where satellite technology is used, and how is banking a necessity or important. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your lesson. It was very, very informative. We're hoping your grades 5 and 6s enjoyed the lesson, and we'll be seeing you soon, I hope.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. From ones and from twos, please get closer to your screens. Up next is your English literature lesson with Mondi Mtetwa. We will be right back after this.
TV license pay and win competition. Fabulous prizes up for grabs. Don't miss out on the TV license pay and win competition. The competition will run from the 30th of September to 10th November 2020. Prizes include set-top boxes, a TV set, DSTV decoders, cash and IT analysis for a winning business. To enter the competition by the Times of Eswatini, cut out the filled-in strip and drop it off at any of the Times offices or upload cutout to https://tblcom.jelele.com. The competition is open to individuals 18 years and older and businesses too. Entrants must be in possession of devices which are capable of communication or transmitting or recording TV signals. The more the entries meet, the higher the chances of winning. Terms and conditions apply.
Usiseka, uvuseleleke, wakheke emoyeni ngomculo wetenkolo bahlabeleli balapha eSwatini. Sikulethele abahlabeleli abadala nabo lapha sekhula emculweni wetenkolo bahlabela bukhoma lapha eSwatini. Siphinde sixoxisane kabanti ngalaba kwentako emsebentini wabo wekuhlabelela igospel konke kungidinisa simakathe. Ungaphuthelwa ngomculo wegospel khona lapha eSwatini TV. Glory.
A very, very warm welcome back to Home Study on Eswatini TV, and a very good afternoon to you, especially if you are in Form 1 and in Form 2, because right now you are doing literature in English with Mondi Mtetwa. My name is Nogwazi Dlamini. A very good afternoon, Mondi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Nogwazi?
I'm very well, thank you. Today we're doing Introduction to Poetry, right?
Yes.
What are you expecting your Form 1s and your Form 2s to have learned by the end of the lesson?
Okay, so I expect my Form 1s and Form 2s to define the term poetry.
Okay.
And also to describe the structure of a poem.
All right.
And lastly, they should be able to define the components of a poem.
All right, okay.
Yes.
Sounds very, very interesting. Form 1s and Form 2s, I hope that you are ready for your lesson. Of course, a reminder about our social media platforms. We are live right now on YouTube and on Facebook. If you have any questions, please feel free to use our WhatsApp number. Mondi, you may please begin with your lesson.
Thank you. Good afternoon again, my learners, Form 1s and Form 2s literature. So before we even begin our lesson, please make sure that you get your books. We are going to be using our books, When Fishes Flew and Other Poems. And please open page 50 of that book. We are going to be looking at the poem called Blackberry Sweet. So the aim of this lesson, it is to introduce to you learners into the study of poetry. And also we are going to help the learners in reading and analyzing a poem. So by the end of this lesson, we will have been able to analyze a poem. Our objectives, we will define the term poetry. Then we are going to describe the structure of a poem. And lastly, we are going to define the components of a poem, that is what makes up a poem. So remember, learners, I think you're asking yourself, what is this poetry? So remember, in the last couple of classes, we were looking at the genres of literature. We looked at drama. We also looked at prose. So today we are going to be looking at the last genre of literature, and that is poetry. So my learners, what is a poem? So when we're asking what is a poem, we are saying it is a piece of writing that is usually in verse form or short lines that are put together in rhythm and rhymes. So when I'm talking about rhythm, it is a sort of musical. So just remember your punch lines. They are sort of, the sounds sound like they are similar. So another thing that you should note, it is that poems, they are written with words chosen for their sounds and the images they form, as well as their meaning. So you should note that these sounds, they have these beautiful sounds, and also there should be some images that are going to be formed when you are reading the poem, as well as a meaning. So we are looking at poetry, and we should note that poetry, it is a collection of poems in general. So in our syllabus, as I have mentioned earlier, we are going to be using our text When Fishes Flew and other poems. Remember, my learners, we are opening page 50 as we are going to be looking at Blackberry Sweet. Okay. So the first thing that we need to look at in a poem, it is the structure of a poem. What we should note, it is that a poem, it has an outward structure and an inward structure. So before you even get to reading the poem, my learner, you need to look at the outward appearance of what? Of a poem. And we usually call that, it is called form. It is the form of a poem. And then we are going to look at the internal features, that is the inward structure. These are the internal features which can only be identified when you have read what? When you have read the poem. My learners, let us look at what an outward structure is. So when we are talking about an outward structure, remember, before you even get to reading the poem, you need to look at the structure of that poem. So the first thing that you need to look at, it is the title of a poem. Okay, so how does it help us? It helps us to distinguish one poem from another. So we are able to differentiate poems to what? Through the title of the poem. And also it helps to capture the reader's attention. Not only to capture the reader's attention, but also to do what? To arouse their interest. And in sometimes you may find that it may predict the message that the poet wants to convey in the poem. So for instance, we said we are looking at Blackberry Sweet. So the title of the poem, it is what? It is Blackberry Sweet. But some of you may think that as the title said, it is Blackberry Sweet, it means we are going to be reading a poem about blackberry. But once you get to read the poem, you are going to see that it isn't just about a blackberry, but it is about a beautiful black girl. Let us continue, my learners. Once you have looked at the title of the poem, you are going to look at the poet's name. So when we are talking about the poet's name, this is the writer of the poem. I hope you have opened your books on page 50. You are going to see that in Blackberry Sweet, the writer is Dudley Randall. So thirdly, we are going to look at the lines in a poem. Remember, we are looking at the outward structure. So when we are talking about lines, these are the collection of words that make up lines in a poem. So you should note that lines, they vary in length and also in number. Remember, in prose we have sentences, but when it comes to poetry, we have what? We have lines. In prose we have paragraphs, but in poetry we have what we call stanzas. My learners, as we said that lines, they vary in length and also in number, you should also note that the number of lines, they differ from one poem to another depending on the author's intentions. So when we are looking at our Blackberry Sweet, that is a poem, we are going to see that the author here, that is the poet, he is using short lines. And we're going to see why is he using short lines. Because of what? Of the rush of emotions. He was seeing this girl and the girl was passing by. So he wanted to say everything that he wanted to say at that time before the girl passes by. Okay. And the last thing that we're going to look at, as we're looking at an outward structure, these are the stanzas. And these are group of lines within a poem. Remember, we said in prose we have paragraphs, but in poetry we have what we call stanzas. Okay, so we say these are similar to paragraphs in prose. And you should note, just like in a paragraph in prose, each stanza carries a certain idea that the poet wishes to discuss. So each and every stanza has its own idea. My learners, now let us look at the inward structure. What is it that you are supposed to look at as you are reading what? As you are reading your poem. Remember, you are going to read the poem twice in order for you to understand what the poem is talking about. So the first thing that you need to look at, it is the language that is used in the poem. Remember, when we were looking at the definition of a poem, we said that the poet, he selects words for what? For their images, and also for their beauty, and also for what? For their meaning. So he doesn't just like pick up words. They should have what? They should be beautiful words. They should also have what? They should paint what? Certain images. So when we are looking at language, we are not that language, it is in two forms. We have what we call literal language and also what we call figurative language. When we are talking about literal language, what do we mean? Literal language, this is the surface meaning of the word. The meaning, that is the dictionary meaning. The meaning of the word that you can get from where? From the dictionary. But when we are talking about figurative language, we are talking about the underlying meaning of a word. That is, what is it that the poet really wanted to say? His intended meaning. So there are different examples of figurative language. The first one, it is the poet can use what we call personification. So what is personification? This is when you are giving human characteristics to an object or an animal. When a non-living thing, it is given what? Human characteristics. Let us look at this example that I have here. The kite danced happily across the sky. So you know that a kite cannot dance. So the word dance, it means that the kite has been given what? Has been given human characteristics. And then after personification, we have what we call a simile. What is a simile? It is when you are comparing two things. You are comparing two things. You are using words like or, as, and when you are comparing these two things. Let us look at this example. Samantha sings like an angel. So what is it that the writer is saying? He is comparing Samantha singing to that of what? Of an angel. So how is she singing? She sings so beautifully. And she sings as if the heavens are going to what? They're going to open. So she sings like what? Like an angel. So in order to understand Samantha's singing, you should be able to understand the angels singing. Then we have a metaphor. And a metaphor, it is when you are comparing two things, saying one thing is another thing. You are comparing two things, saying one thing is another thing. Whereas a simile, you are comparing two things, you are using the words like and what and as. Let us look at this example. Samantha is a little angel. So now the writer is not comparing Samantha singing to a what? To an angel, but she is actually saying Samantha is what? She is a little angel. So you can tell that Samantha, she's what? She's just a sweet human being. Okay. As we continue with our examples of figurative language, we are going to see that sometimes a writer uses what we call onomatopoeia. And the use of onomatopoeia, it is the use of words to make a sound. When you're using words to do what? To make or to describe a sound. Let us look at this example. He says, I can hear the clock saying tick tock as I race to finish my work. So the word tick tock here, it is what? It is describing the sound. Other example can be boom, pop, boom. Those are what? Onomatopoeia. Then we have what we call alliteration. This is the repetition of the same beginning sound of words. When you are repeating what? When you are repeating the same beginning of what? Of sound. We have a poem. Here it says, Betty Butter bought some butter. There is the repetition of the sound boo. You should note that usually our poet uses these figures of speech, figurative language, in order to talk about or to describe something. And then we have what we call imagery. What is imagery? This is when the poet or the writer uses words to paint a visual picture for the reader. When you are painting a visual picture, let us look at this example. She is a flower. She is a flower. So you can actually imagine what? A flower. When the writer says she is a flower, so what is he saying? He's saying she's what? She's very beautiful. You know, flowers, they're what? They're beautiful, and sometimes they do what? They smell nice. And everybody loves what? Everybody loves flowers. Lastly, the poet can also use what we call repetition. Repetition from the word repeat. So when we are talking about repetition, these are repeated words and phrases which are used to emphasize a point. In our poem, Blackberry Sweet, we are going to see that the poet repeats the words black girl, black girl. So why does the poet repeats these words? It is because he wants to emphasize that he isn't just talking about any girl, but he is talking about what? A black girl. So it's not just any girl, but this is just a black girl. Okay. We are also going to see that as we are reading the poem, we are going to note what we call diction. This is the writer's choice of words. Remember, it is poetry, so the writer chooses what? Chooses these words carefully. Remember, they should have what? They should have an effect. So these are words that are chosen for what? For their effect. It is more like using an example saying, instead of saying he pulled her, you say he grabbed her. So the word grab, it should have what? It should have an effect that he held what? Tightly. It was more like in a rough what? In a rough manner. As you are looking at a poem, you should also look that you should note that you look at what we call punctuation marks. And we say these are the marks that are used to link, to separate words in a sentence. They may link and also do what? Separate words in a sentence. These may include full stops, a comma, question mark, an exclamation mark. But what you should note, my learners, it is that when we get to the poem Blackberry Sweet, we are going to see that this poem does not have any punctuation marks. Remember, I said the girl was what? The girl was passing by. So why is it that there are no punctuation marks? Because the poet was what? Was rushing to say whatever that he was saying before the girl does what? She passes by. So remember, we talked about short lines and also it does not have any punctuation mark because of what? Because of the rush of emotions. Another thing that you should note when we are looking at a poem, as you are reading, you should note that there is what we call a speaker or the persona. So when we're talking about the speaker or the persona, we are saying this is the voice behind the poem. So the person who is talking where? In the poem. So the person can be either in first person or in third person. So when we are talking about the speaker, it is more like the poet's creation, more like what? Characters when it comes what? To prose. And another thing that you should note as you are reading, you should note that there is what we call tone and mood. What is tone? This is the way the poet expresses his attitude towards that subject. For example, in Blackberry Suite, we are going to see that the way that the poet is talking, we can tell that he admires the black girl. Then we have mood. Mood, this is the feeling the poet is trying to convey in the poem. So you should note that the feelings, they are determined by what? They are determined by the tone. So the tone determines what? The mood. For instance, we've already said that through the way he's talking, the poet, he admires the black girl. So we can actually tell that he has the feelings of what? In the poem, he has love, lust, and also admiration. Okay, my learners, let us continue. Another thing that we should note as we are looking at a poem, it is the theme. And what are we saying the theme is? This is the central idea of a poem. So in a theme, it addresses the poet's thoughts, the feelings and opinions about that particular subject. For instance, through the way that the poet is saying, through what the words that the poet is saying in our Blackberry Suite, we are going to see that the theme, it is lust and what? And love. My learners, now I want us just to look at these two stanzas from the poem Blackberry Suite. So remember, I said even before you get to do what? To read the poem, we are supposed to look at what? The outward structure. The first thing that you need to look at, it is what? The title of the poem. Remember, we said it may suggest what the poem is about, and also it is supposed to do what? To capture the reader's attention. Look at the word sweet. We know something which is so sweet, it is something which is what? Which is nice. And after looking at the title, you are supposed to look at the poet's name. We said it is Dudley Randall. And when we are looking at the poet's name, we are going to see that it also gives us a background information on the poet, the reason why he wrote this poem. So we are going to see that Dudley Randall here, he is a white American girl. He's a white American man. So let us now go to the poem. Let us look at the poem. It says, black girl, black girl. The poet here has used what? He has used what we call repetition. Remember, we said the poet uses repetition to do what? To emphasize. So here he is emphasizing about what? About that he isn't just talking about any girl, but he's talking about a black girl. So this girl, she's what? She's dark in complexion, but we're going to see that she's what? She's very beautiful. And it says black girl, lips as curved as cherries. Here he has used what? He has used a simile. Lips as curved as cherries. And it says, so here he is comparing the lips of the girl to that of what? Of cherries. And already here, not only has he used simile, but he has also used what? There is what we call imagery. We can actually imagine what a cherry is, and these are round fruits. They are soft and they are usually black or red in color. So what is he saying about the lips of the girl? He's saying the girls are what? They are perfectly curved. He compares the lips of the girl to that of what? To cherries. He says full as grape bunches. Not only is he comparing the lips of the girl to cherries, but he's saying they're also full as what? As grape bunches. So even here he has used what? He's used a simile. Remember a simile, you compare two things using what? Like or as. So he's comparing to the lips of the girl to what? To grape bunches. And look at, remember we said there is supposed to be an effect when you pick up a word. He says they are full as grape bunches. When you imagine grape bunches, you can tell that these are what? These are juicy fruits. And from there we can tell the feelings of what? Of the poet. He is what? He desires the lips of the girl. And also says sweet as blackberries. And this says black girl, when you walk you are magic as a rising bird. So what we note here, when it says your walk is a magic, here's used what we call a metaphor. Not now he's not comparing the walk of the girl to magic, but she's saying what? The walk, it is what? It is magic. My learners, we have looked at our poem. Now I want us to look at this activity which we are going to do at home. Number 1, it says, looking at the title of the poem, what do you think the poem is about? The second one, it says, how many lines does stanza 1 have? Number 3, give examples of a simile, that is in 2 examples of a simile in stanza 1. And the fourth one, why do you think the poet has repeated the words black girl in the poem? Lastly, I want you to look at the poet's feelings towards the black girl that is in stanza 2. My dear learners, this is the end of our lesson.
Thank you so much, Mondi, for your lesson. A very beautiful lesson it was. We're hoping your Form 1s and your Form 2s actually enjoyed it. Thank you so much. We'll be seeing you soon, I hope.
Thank you very much. My learners, remember to always keep safe and take care of yourself.
Thank you so much. Form 4s, please get closer to your screens. Up next is your Eswatini lesson with Mr. Makawe Dlamini. We'll be right back after this.
Swag radar. Hey girlfriend, call me. Hey, my name is Gigi Callahan. And Gigi's a movie star I haven't seen in my life. I can't even say hello everyone. This is who I am. But let's go. You want a piece of me? Yeah, you know you wanna with the boom, boom, pow. You ain't on my swag radar.
Buhle bethu imvelo yethu. Buhle bethu tindzawo tethu. Indalo yashada nemasiko kuhle kwethu. Kuvakasha kwethula umthwalo emahlombe ethu. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe indlela uyikhombe etindzaweni tethu temvelo nembukiso ungcebeleke uthathe netithombe. Lalela ke nangu sonkondlo waseswatini akutekela ayibeka indzaba ayihlela kuhle kwelijaha lishela ngiyakutshela diningi tindzawo longativakashela hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe la phana lapha kuvakasha kuyayelapha enhlitiyo kanye nemqondo kuyawuphumuda uqinisa buhlobo nebungane losebundenga ndenga with a trip to Mantenga Falls or a sip among friends of Sibebe Brew on Sibebe Mountain, or perhaps your cup of tea is backpacking and horse riding, sightseeing the seamless streams and springs that stream across the gorgeous valleys of the mountainous kingdoms of Eswatini. We have you covered. Hloma ngwane vuka uvakashe, buhle bethu yimvelo yethu, buhle bethu ngabuthola nasebantwini bethu.
Nguvusele mbukeli ngiphinze ngikwemukele ehlelweni lakho loluthandzako lokufundza usekhaya i-home study. Igama lami nginokwazi ngwakadlamini kanti kulesi khathi samanje sitawufundza siswati selibanga lelishumi pheceleti form 4 kanye naye Machawe Dlamini losavele akhona etindlini tekusakata. Unjani namhla Nkosi?
Ngiyaphila unjani wena Nokwazi?
Ngiyaphila nami. Namhla sidabe sifundza indzaba ekushoneni kwelanga.
Kunjalo Nokwazi.
Ubheke ukuthi umfundzi wakho ekhaya abe afundzeni ekupheleni kwalesifundo.
Ekupheleni kwalesifundo umfundzi kumele abe afundzile nje ukuthi indzaba ihlatiwa njani, utiphi tintfo lesitibuka uma sihlatiya indzaba.
Okay, siyabonga kakhulu Machawe. Sethembe ukuthi umfundzi ekhaya sovela usilungiselele isifundo sakhe, sengacala nesifundo sakho.
Siyabonga Nokwazi. Ninebelivuso leladla umlo sesiswini kwasilonga phandle wasenza ukuthi balekela nebenkosi lenhle yakangwane. Thishela wena weSiswati Machawe Dlamini sokhona etindlini tekusakata, sitobuka yona indzaba lemfishane ekushoneni kwelanga. Asicale ngekukhumbutana mfundzi tindzaba lokufanele utifunze kuyo incwadi yakho lenesihloko lesithi khuluma nisive. Kunendzaba lethi Dudwana, imvisa buhlungu, fana lakhe, lisondvo liyagicika, ekushoneni kwelanga, sewungilandzile, siciniseko, phumani nelikhambi, yeke mandle sambane, luswati loluncane, indlovu lengenamboko, indzaba egcina ethi liwashi lambekelwa. Sifundo sethu ke sibalulekile mfundzi ngoba sitakusita ukuthi ukhone kulolonga lukhono lekuhlatiya nekucubungula imicondvo lejulile kuyo yonke imibhalo lotawuniketwa yona. Kukhutsata lutsandvo lokufundza nekulola lukhono lekubhala tindzatshana letihlamusako. Tihlokwana ke lesitawusebentela etikwato namuhla ngiko kubuyeketa sifundo lesengcile, sifinyete indzaba, sihlatiye sihloko, sihlatiye naso singeniso sendzaba yetfu lethi sihloko sendzaba yetfu yalomuhla. Imigomo yesifundo. Ekupheleni kwalesifundo sanamuhla ubhekeke ukuthi ukhone kufinyeta indzaba, kuhlatiya sihloko, kucwaninga kabanti singeniso sendzaba lemfisha. Asicale ngaso ke sibuyeketo sethu. Esifundweni lesengcile sacetsela indzaba lemfisha lenesihloko lesithi imvisa buhlungu. Kuyo sabuketa singeniso, kwavela ukuthi singeniso sayo lendzaba sishaya esikhonkosini. Sabuka ke sona sicongo, kwakhanya ukuthi sicongo salendzaba kulapho dokotela aveta kwekuthi sithembile wemithi. Sititfolile ke netifundo letifaka ikhatsi bomcoka bekutiphatsa kahle. Satfola ke ukuthi ingcikithi ngibo bulukhuni bekukhulisa umntwana. Asingene ke esifundweni sethu salomuhla. Asihlatiye sifinyeto sendzaba yethu, indzaba yethu ithi ekushoneni kwelanga. Indzaba ke ivula esibhedlela lapho sibona khona Vuyani Mavuso usetinhlungweni, uyacuma, ubamba sisu, uhle akhipha la kudlile. Sibona unenina wakhe ulamethfula, lobe kamnakekela amnika kudla. Siyeva ukuthi kugula kwendvodzana yakhe kwakumkhatsata kakhulu. Umbhali uthi emehlo alomake akesuki kulo sembhedzeni, netinyembeti tehla tehlile kulawo mehlo. Tiyehla, tehle, tigelede tihlatsini tiye tehle ngasemlonyeni, tidzilikele ehiyeni lalihize lapha emahlombe, letinye tehlela emlonyeni, tiphetsela lapho tiphetsela khona. Loma ke uphinze ajule ngemicabango ngalo kugula kwemntwana wakhe, lokhu sithi ke ngumshikashika wangekhatsi. Lokugula kwemfana wakhe lokuphela kwakhe kwamenda wabiyela emuva lapho abuya khona nayo indvodzana yakhe. Wakhumbula lilanga lelikhulu lapho emaphupho ekubona umntwana wakhe aphothula afezeka. Vuyani abekhaliphile, wate wahlabana waphuma ngesigaba sekucala uma ethweswa ticu tebusayensi khona enyuvesi yakangwane. Lamethfula abejabule ngalokwecile ngalelo langa, alilitela ate athambe, wate wamanga Vuyani wakhe. Wathi akuleyo umcabango lemihle waphathanyiswa kungena kwalabalethe litiya, bekahle abiyela ayohlola umfana wakhe, ambambe amvusele, aphinze abuyele kuyo imicabango yakhe. Akhumbule futhi injabulo leyayikhona, timoto tishaya elidwendve, emabombo abhekiswe ekhaya kumalinza. Lapho kuphelele tihlobo nebangani kwentiwe lidzili lelikhulu lekuhalalisela Vuyani ngekuhlabana aphinze aphothule. Kwakuhlatshwe ngisho nengomo. Siyeva ukuthi Vuyani wayalwa nguyise ngaleli langa. Imiyalo yalomdzala yayithi umuntu loba ngumuntu ngulotifundzisa kutimisela kuko konke lakwentako nalaniketwa kona futhi akwente nobe kubukeka kukuncane kanganani. Futhi umuntu loba nelikusasa lelihle ngulotifundzisa kukhetsa kahle angathathwa ngumdumo kodwa into ayibukisise buhle nebubi bayo bese uyakhetha. Lokho kumenda angadisoli kusasa atigcabe aphinze abe lusito esiveni. Siyabona ukuthi ngabe Vuyani utawuchubeka siyatibuta ukuthi ngabe Vuyani utawuchubeka atimisele empilweni. Ingabe utawukhetha kahle yini njengoba sekayo ticalela impilo yakhe. Angeke yini athathwe ngumdumo akhethe kabi. Utawuba lusito yini emmangweni. Indzaba iphinze ibiyele esibhedlela lapho sibona laMethula angakhoni ngisho kudla. Kukhala tilo tibika indlala. Uthi maketama kudla sigulane sakhe sigcume embhedzeni siphefumulele etulu. Emehlo agucuke abe mhloshana siphefumule kamatima. Athonse umoya kalukhunyana. laMethula ugcina yahlabe umkhosi abite bonesi labefike bamfake itigubhu emakhaleni letisita ukuthi aphefumule kahle. Siyavetelwa ukuthi Vuyani besekede emandla sekehlile nasemtimbeni ute wathi umbhali bese kulubhambanana. Siyatibuta sibafunzi ukuthi engabe lokugula lokuhlasele Vuyani lesekumudle wate wabanga ngeluthi kuyini. Sifisa kugcine sivile ukuthi sifo sini. Ingabe utawusinza yini kulesichwaga lesifuna umncoba. Umbhali uchubeka azivetelela usizi lwenina wesigulane lotililelako ukuthi kufa akufane kumcolele umntwana wakhe njengoba kukuphela kwakhe labanye bashona. Vuyani litinyo lekubulala. Kukhwesha kule micabango lemibi ungconota kucabanga imicabango lemihle ngemntwana wakhe. Uphinze abiyele emuva akhumbule injabulo leyabakhona mhla Vuyani acashwa esimunye engapaneni yashukela. Kucashwa kwa Vuyani eluhlangothini lwetekunisela nekucilonga imishina kwaba sebaleni ukuthi utawuthatha sikhundla sekuba ngumenenjeni webunjiniyela ngoba bese kabuyela kula kubo emangisini. Siyeva khona imicabangweni yalaMethula ukuthi Vuyani wathunywa ngumsebenzi ngesheya waya kuyoceceshwa kulomsebenzi tinyanga letisiphohlongo. Ilanga lekuhamba kwakhe laveta ingcayizivele kulaMethula ngoba kwaba kokucala ukuthi anyathele esikhumulweni setindiza kumathapha. laMethula uphinze akhumbule ukuthi ngaleli langa Vuyani wamethulela intombi yakhe Zolile Dladla. Uphawula noko umlomdzala ukuthi umntwana wakhe abeganwa nje impela ngoba abembona ahamba namantfombatana lehlukahlukene edolobheni ayifunze ivaliwe. laMethula uyaphathamiseka kuleyo mcabango yakhe ngoba bese kungena nesi kanye na dokotela lofike acilonge Vuyani. Dokotela ubese utshela laMethula ukuthi indvodzana yakhe iphatheke kakhulu futhi isetinhlungwini. Dokotela ubese ulayela nesi ukuthi amjove aphinze amnathise imithi letamlalisa kude aphumule. laMethula uphinze azule nayo imicabango ngemuva kokuthi Vuyani alaliswe imijovo akhumbule lilanga lelagucula impilo yabo mhla bathola incwadi eposini lathi yaba sicalo selusizi emtini wakamavuso. Leyabika ukuthi Vuyani ubangwa netibi utawuphuthunyiswa emuva ekhaya kufanele bamhlangabede esikhumulweni setindiza ngensimbi yesikhombisa. Vele lefika lelo langa abakukholwanga labakubona. Vuyani bese kasele ngebuso asaphelile emtimbeni. Abekhala aphinza emagama lamathathu. Make ngiyasha kuyangijuba. Bakamavuso njengawo onke eMaswati asola anuka bomakhelwane nebasemsebentini kuthi ngenxa yemona kubona umntwana abo aphumelela kungendeka bamdlisile. Njengoba ke Vuyani abenesikhundla lesiphakeme emsebentini, inkampani yakhokha tonke tindleko tesibhedlela. Njengeba kaMavuso nayo inkampani yayisebuhlungweni njengoba Vuyani bekaneli kusasa lelihle lekuthuthuka kuyo inkampani. Sibuye sibone intombi yaVuyani ite esibhedlela, ite kutomhlola. Lapho bafike babukane. Zolile watsinza lesikhulu sililo wato waba nesibibithwane. Vuyani uyasincestela singani sakhe. Zolile, ncese mgabatheli wami. Naye ugcine yakhala. Nazolile naye ancestele singani sakhe, babambane ngetandla, babukane ngemehlo lagcwele tinyembeti. Lokhu kuletha lusizi kulamethula. Nese simbona ucela lamethula locelwa ngudokotela. Lamethula uhamba uyadibuta ukuthi ingabe dokotela ufuna kuthini. Ingabe utamlandvulela ukuthi siyamehlula kuselapha lesifo noma ukhanze lokukhulu esiswini saVuyani. Lobu solo ke buciko bamdonseni nathi lesifundzako siyalangadelela kuva ukuthi ingabe indzaba yekugula kwaVuyani itawuphetha njani. Uma befika eoffice dokotela uyamlungiselela asengakathuli indzaba yekugula kwaVuyani kunina. Ubuye achaze ukuthi imvume yekumtshela ngekugula kwendvodzana yakhe uyinikwe ngiyo indvodzana. Dokotela ubikela lamethula ukuthi ingati yaVuyani ngemuva kwekucwaningwa itholakale ineligciwane le-HIV lelibanga sifo se-AIDS. Lo mbiko ushiya lamethula ashacekile, umtimba wakhe kwangathi ulalwa insinze ngoba ati kahle ukuthi lesifo lesi aselapheki. Uphuma angakavalelisi abuyele ewadini lapho akhanza Vuyani alele. Indzaba iphetha lamethula uma engasefastelweni leligumbi lalele kulo Vuyani. Ubuka lilanga leselilucedwe etindzabeni. Uyalibuka lite liyothi cibi emva kwato tindzaba. Naso ke mfundzi sifinyeto sayo indzaba yethu lesihloko sithi ekushoneni kwelilanga. Asesicale ke mfundzi sihlatiye sona sihloko sayo yendzaba. Njengoba sesibonile imgomo yokufundza sesihlatiye indzaba yethu ekushoneni kwelilanga. Sibuke ukuthi nato yini letingoni lekufanele sitihlatiye endzabeni lemfisha. Sitaqala ngako ke kubuka sihloko. Umbhali uyaye anikete sihloko lesihambelana nalokwendeka endzabeni. Ekushoneni kwelilanga umbhali usiniketa sithombe mcondvo lesibonakalako selilanga leseliyoshona lokungasiniketa imicondvo leminyenti. Umbhali kucamba lesihloko usishiya sinemibuto lokusho ukuthi lesihloko sinamdonseni. Lesihloko sivusa imibuto. Ingabe kwendekani nasekushona ilanga. Sesingacabanga ke mfundzi ukuthi bantfu sebacedzile kwenda imisebenti yelusuku sebayophumula. Labanye abakayicedzi imisebenti yabo yelusuku. Behlulekile kwenda yonke imisebenti yelilanga. Sithi ke mfundzi ekushoneni kwelilanga sisuke sesisebentile nawe nje usuke sewuphumile esikolweni sewubuyele ngasekhaya. Sesiyabona ke ukuthi kungendeka kukhona lokwendile waphumelela kiko. Kungendeka futhi lokho lobo ukwenda awukaphumeleli kuko. Ngiko ke sewukhanza ukuthi mhlambe unelethemba lokuthi ngakusasa utawukhona kukwenda. Utawuphumula ebusuku bese ngakusasa sewuyachubeka wenda lokho bewuhlose ukwenda. Umbhali ke usebenzise buciko bebumphawu. Sathi umbhali nakasebenzise buciko bebumphawu usebenzisa info lebonakalako kusichazela info lengabonakali. Umbhali usebenzisa info lebonakalako kusichazela info lengabonakali. Nalapha ke kushona kwelilanga kuluphawu lwempilo yaVuyani. Impilo yaVuyani umbhali uyifananise nelilanga. Kukhanya kwelilanga kuluphawu lwempilo lensha lechakadile njengempilo yaVuyani lebeyichakadile. Khumbula mfundzi ukuthi endzabeni siyathola kwekuthi Vuyani wafunza enyuvesi waphuma embili waphothula ku-Tep Science, wacashwa engapaneni esimunye, ngapaneni yashukela, waphinza wayofunza ngesheya, afundzela wona umsebenzi. Wekuba ngumphathi phela kuto tebunjiniyela khona engapaneni esimunye. Kodwa ke sibona impilo yakhe iphetha kabuhlungu. Lokugcwaliswa ngolelicedu lelanga lolubukwa ngunina wakhe seliyoshona. Siyabona ukuthi lamethula uma iphela indzaba ubuke lilanga ngasefastelweni. Uthi umbhali uyalibuka lize liyothi cibi etindzabeni. Lokusho ukuthi uyalibuka lize liyosithela. Kungiko ke kubuka impilo yaVuyani ishabalala ishona phasi ize ifika ekugcineni. Nakabuka nje lelilanga lishobela etindzabeni. Lolulanga loluphawu lempilo yaVuyani kusho ukuthi nayo impilo yaVuyani iyashabalala. Lokushona ke mfundzi kwalo lilanga kuluphawu lwempilo yaVuyani. Kushabalala kwempilo lenhle ebeyibhekekile kuVuyani ngendzaba yekuthandza besifazane. Njengoba sivile ngenina ugcina agula abangwa netibi ngoba anesifo seligciwane le-HIV/AIDS. Lokusho ukuthi Vuyani ugcina angcotshwe ngiyo lenkinga. Indzaba lesiyibonako nakathe kushoneni kwelanga yebuthakathaka bekungadiphathi kahle agcine abanjwe nguye lo sochaka. Sithi ke mfundzi impilo yaVuyani ifananiswe nalo langa lelishobela etindzabeni. Letindzaba ke ngulenkinga labhekana nayo yekugula igcine ke iyamgwinya ngekushona kwalo lilanga. Asibuke ke mfundzi singeniso sayo indzaba. Singeniso ke mfundzi lesishaya khona kufanele sisethulele tintfo letimbalwa letifaka ekhatsi sogcamile kanye nenkinga noma umshikashika labhekene nawo. Kufanele ke singeniso sisithulele sibe kandzaba. Sibe kandzaba ke singasho ukuthi indzawo, sikhatsi kanye nesimo. Singeniso ke mfundzi kufanele sishiye umfundzi wendzaba anemibuto lemdonsako lemkhangako kude afunze indzaba yakhe afike lapho aphenduleka khona. Sithi ke singeniso kufanele sibe namdonseni. Asibuke sona ke mfundzi singeniso salendzaba sitasifunza kafisha. Make uyajilajila lo sembhedzeni sandla lesiphelelwa ngemandla sibambe sisu. Acume kakhulu manje. Akhwebe lo seceleni kwembhedze. Akhombe indishi lapha phansi yesibhedlela. Aphuthume lo lokhonjiswako ayithathe ayibeke emathangeni esigulane. Sisekelwe ngemicamelo ngemuva nasemaceleni bendeshe ngathi bayasilalisa. Akuphelanga isikhathi lesithe ibekiwe indishi. Sigulane sakhipha lokumthubi salicanza ngemlomo. Sabe sithi tsala kaca embhedzeni. Kulo lomile eceleni kwembhedze kwaba khona umbuto lowendlulisa kwembane engcondweni yakhe. Kambe sekangahamba lo mntwana wakhe. Lesimo langiso lo logulako sithandza kwehluka kunemalanga lamanye lengcile. Naso ke mfundzi singeniso sayo indzaba yethu. Singaphindze sesifunze utokhona kusibona ukuthi sicalaphi sigcinaphi. Make uyajilajila lo sembhedzeni sandla lesiphelelwa ngemandla sibambe sisu. Acume kakhulu manje. Akhwebe lo seceleni kwembhedze. Akhombe indishi lapha phansi yesibhedlela. Aphuthume lo lokhonjiswayo ayithatha ayibeke emathangeni esigulane. Sisekelwe ngemicamelo ngemuva nasemaceleni bendeshe ngathi bayasilalisa. Akuphelanga isikhathi ibekiwe indishi isigulane sakhipha lokumthubi salicanza ngemlomo. Sabe sithi tsala kaca embhedzeni. Kulo lomile eceleni kwembhedze kwaba khona umbuto lowendlulisa kwembane engcondweni yakhe. Kambe sekangahamba lo mntwana wakhe. Lesimo langiso lo logulako sithandza kwehluka kunemalanga lamanye lengcile. Sithi ngiso ke singeniso sethu lesi. Asesibuke ke mfundzi lokutholakala kulesingeniso. Sibuke ukuthi engabe vele siyakuthola ini lokulesikhulume ngako. Khumbula sithe ezingenisweni kufanele sithole sogcamile nenkinga, sibeka ndzaba kanye namthonseni. Kulesingeniso lesi-ke siyamthola Sogcamile. Esingenisweni sivetelwa sigulane lesijilajila embhedzeni kubonakala ukuthi sigula kamadima lomuhla. Isaqhubeka-ke indzaba siyeva ukuthi lona logulako nguVuyani. Vuyani-ke nguye Sogcamile wetfu. Noma esingenisweni lingavedwa ligama lakhe, kodwa lona logulako lesivetelwa yena esingenisweni nguye Sogcamile wetfu. Lokunye-ke mfundzi lesikubukako umshikashika. Sogcamile wethu-ke kufanele abhekane nenkinga thide. Sogcamile wethu nguye futhi lochuba ingcikithi lasuke asibekele yona umbhali. Lokufanele sikunake-ke mfundzi kwekuthi sisho ngani kwekuthi Vuyani unguSogcamile ngaphandle nje kwekuvela ezingenisweni. Kunengi lesitakubuka lokufaka ekhatsi tona tigameko letivelako endzabeni. Khumbula-ke mfundzi ukuthi sisayifunza indzaba sibonile kwekuthi Vuyani nguye lovelako kakhulu. Uyafunza enyuvesi, uyaphothula, uyahamba uyacashwa enkapaneni esimunye, asacashiwe enkapaneni esimunye, uphindze uyachubeka uyofunza ngesheya. Lokhu-ke kuveta kona kwekuthi Vuyani nguSogcamile. Lokunye-ke ingcikithi yethu lasivetela yona umbhali nayo lesitayibuka itsinza yena Vuyani. Asibuke-ke mfundzi umshikashika labhekene nawo Sogcamile. Sithi-ke umshikashika inkinga labhekene nayo. Kungaba ngumshikashika wangekhatsi lokugutsagutsa yena yedwa Sogcamile, noma kube ngumshikashika wangekhatsi wangephandle lapho Sogcamile anenkinga khona nenvotsite lekhona eveni, noma anekushayisana nalomunye umlingisi lotholakala kuyo phela indzaba yethu. Asesibuke-ke ukuthi lo Sogcamile lesimthola la una muphi umshikashika, una yiphi inkinga. Sogcamile wethu inkinga labhekene nayo uyagula, usetinhlungweni. Siyabona esingenisweni ukuthi Vuyani uphathekile kamadima, futhi kuleli langa lalamuhla kubonakala ngazuthi kuyamcenzetela kugula. Siphindze-ke siwuthole umshikashika wangekhatsi. Khona esingenisweni kunemugca lothi kulolomile eceleni kwembhedze kwaba khona umbuto lowendlulisa kwembane engcondvweni yakhe. Kambe sekangahamba lo mntwanakhe. Lapha-ke sithi ulamethula unemshikashika wangekhatsi. Lesimo langiso logulako sithanza kwehluka kunemalanga lamanye lengcile. Lamethula-ke unemshikashika wangekhatsi uyatibuta kwekuthi engabe indvodzana yakhe kutayibekaphi kugula njengoba lomuhla kubonakala kwekuthi cha kuyamhlasela. Asibuke-ke mfundzi siphetho saso sifundo sethu. Sicale ngako kufinyeta indzaba, sabuka tigameko kusukela ekucaleni kute kube sekugcineni kwendzaba. Singenile-ke sahlatiya sihloko sethu, sabona ukuthi lesihloko siluphawu lokushabalala kwempilo yaVuyani lebe ichakazile. Sifunze ngaso-ke singeniso sendzaba. Sengca-ke sathola ukuthi Sogcamile ngulona logulako lokunguVuyani. Sabuka nemshikashika lesitsite kugula kwakhe Vuyani. Esingenisweni-ke sibuke lokho lokubili kuphela, kanti esingenisweni kufanele sibuke sibeka ndzaba, sibuke naye emthonseni. Kulungiselela-ke mfundzi sifundo lesitako, utawucelwa ukuthi ufunze yona indzaba ekushoneni kwelanga, lapho ubuke sibeka ndzaba lesisithola ezingenisweni kanye naye emthonseni. Ubuke sona sicongo ukuthi engabe sikuphi isicongo salendzaba, bese ubuka abalingisi netimilo tabo, uphindze utibhalele nje tifundo lotitholako kanye nengcikithi yaso sifundo. Ngiyethemba-ke mfundzi ukuthi cha usitakele kuso sifundo sanamuhla. Kwalamuhla sesifike khona emaphethelweni aso sifundo ngendzaba yethu lethi ekushoneni kwelanga.
Sibonge kakhulu Machawe, isifundo sakho besimnanzi impela, indzaba yakho beyimnanzi kakhulu. Sithembe ukuthi nembukeli ekhaya usithokodele kakhulu isifundo, sesitawubona netfundweni netlandzela.
Siyabonga kakhulu nokwazi umfundzi ekhaya ngemfundisela kufunza lokuhle nekubukela tinhlelo tawo umsakazo wesive. Ngiyabonga.
Siyabonga kakhulu mfundzi ekhaya welibanga lelishumi unganyakati sifundo sakho lesilandzelako i-English language kanye naye futhi Mnisi siyabuya khona manje.
Return my son to me. I'm going to go get him.
Ow, it hurts! Hey, I haven't even touched you yet. Stop being a baby. Kandimba! Get back here! Kandimba! Kandimba! Where are you?
What's with that face? You don't feel well?
How did your interview go? Bad. Really bad. Well, I'd like to have a cup of coffee, please.
Because I want to help you out, I
Your
really
father
can't.
won't let you.
It's just that at this time, the sales of the store don't justify hiring another person, Auntie.
But if that's the issue, I could work on commission, Sarah. I already proved to you I'm a good
Look,
salesperson.
I'm really sorry, but jobs don't just pop up because people need them.
Maybe you should find someone who feels as lonely as you do. Someone who knows how to spoil.
Welcome back to Home Study on Eswatini TV, and a very good afternoon to you if you have just joined us, especially if you are in Form 4, because right now we are doing English language for the Form 4s with Futhi Mnisi. My name is Nogwazi Ihlamini. How are you today, Futhi?
I'm fine, my dear. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Today we're doing appreciation of style of a descriptive narrative text.
Yes.
What are you expecting your Form 4s to have learned by the end of the lesson?
Well, my dear Lena, at home, I am expecting that by the end of this lesson, we should be able to know the purpose for descriptives as a type of writing. We should also be able to state the types of these particular descriptives, and then eventually we will read together, my dear Lena, at home, and then appreciate style features of a particular descriptive text.
All right, thank you so much for that, Futhi. Form 4s, I hope you are ready for your lesson. Without wasting any time, please, you may begin with your lesson.
Thank you so much, my dear. And yes, my dear Lena, at home. So we are continuing in our English language lesson this afternoon. So we are talking about descriptive. Remember, I've talked early on, we've talked about the different types of text. I remember mentioning a descriptive writing text, descriptive text in one of my lessons. So let us start with the lesson then. What is to describe, my dear Lena? So when we describe, we actually paint a picture with words so that the reader, which is you, is able to visualize or see what the writer is describing in a detailed manner. So we are painting pictures with words when we are describing, my dear Lena, at home. That is what it means to describe. And then, like I said in our objectives, what is it that we actually describe, my dear Lena, at home? Firstly, you will agree with me, we will describe a description of a person. Okay, now, what do I mean by this? It could actually be my role model, or my favorite teacher, or a teacher who was mean to me probably at school, or an important person in society. So we can give a description of a person, or we read about descriptions of people out there. We can also, my dear Lena, describe a place. Okay, like probably give us a description of the town at a particular time. This is what place, okay, at a particular time. Okay, maybe in the morning, how is the atmosphere probably in a particular town or in Baban. It's just a particular place that we are bringing alive to the mind of the reader. So we can also describe an event
as we said that this is, we are appreciating style this afternoon, in a descriptive narrative text. So it can be an event. My dear Lena, if it is an event, it simply means that it is an experience of some sort or a chain of events. Let me pause a bit here. When you're talking about an event, for example, my dear Lena, you may have been, you went on a class probably trip or in a class holiday, and then somebody asks you to write a letter, a letter to a friend about the particular class holiday. Then this is your time where you're going to paint, a picture with words in this particular type of event. It may actually be an incident or an accident that took place in a science laboratory, maybe at school, and the teacher was actually out, my dear Lena. So during the time the teacher, when he or she comes back, he or she may ask, may you please write a report? Maybe somebody got injured in that particular accident. So you write a report. What am I trying to say, my dear Lena Edom, is that when you write letters to our friends, when you write letters to our relatives, when you write reports at school, we actually incorporate the aspect of describing. Okay, so now it doesn't mean just because it is an informal letter then it means we are not describing, we are just telling. No, there is an aspect of description, my dear Lena, which has to come into play. So I've talked about probably it was a class holiday, or it was a family trip, and then you are telling it to a relative, my dear, or it is a report that you are sending, you are writing to the principal or a teacher at school, my dear Lena. It actually may be probably you're trying to advertise a particular product, my dear Lena. So when we advertise, we need to see this particular product clearly, of which means we incorporate what? The style of descriptions, my dear Lena. Even if probably you are writing a song, in order for us to follow the song in a way, we need to describe. Or maybe you're watching a play, my dear Lena, every now and then we need to visualize this. So we need to again to use a particular style, that is so that the reader may understand what is said. Okay, their actions we can see, we can hear, and all those things, my dear Lena. Even when you are complaining, my dear Lena, at home, assuming maybe something is not going well at home or at school, then you want to complain to it, maybe to the class teacher, there is going to be an aspect which is going to require you to describe. Let the next person hear exactly what you are complaining about, or see exactly what you are complaining about. It may also be an object, my dear Lena. So when we are describing, what we are trying to say is that we should not think of a descriptive as just the long essay. We may actually have an informal letter, a formal letter, a report, like I've said, an advertisement, a speech that you're trying to sensitize people about a particular issue. We have to describe, my dear Lena. So please pay attention now to the style features, especially of this particular type of genre or writing, because it's description, it is also narrative. Let us move on, my dear Lena, at home. Now, we are busy talking about descriptive. There is no narrative without a descriptive. There is no story which we cannot see, which we cannot actually visualize. So when you talk about style features, my dear Lena, these are not just the features, as in they are limited to this, but there is more. For the purposes of today, I would like us to look at some of this, because in the text that we shall be reading together and analyzing together, then we will see how some of these have been used for effect. So when you talk about style features, these are the things. Remember, it's all about, now in English language, it's all about appreciating a text. It's all about seeing what the writer, appreciating the effort that the writer has put in bringing out this particular text, so that you and I can actually follow, can actually understand, can actually appreciate. And at the end, there are going to be some feelings, my dear Lena, which are evoked as of reading a particular text. Your story, my story, somebody's diary. I gave you diary, I taught you a diary the other day. So what are these features that you are talking about, my dear? We are saying these types of writing, these particular, when you say it's a descriptive text, it's going to be subjective and more personal. After all, if it's my role model, this is my role model. My role model may not actually be your role model, my dear Lena, at home. So I'm going to say things I want to say, things that please me. So it is all about me, but I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to create a picture of my role model in such a way that you can actually see, maybe, just maybe, my dear Lena, you may also, fall in love with my role model in a way. So we are saying it uses adjectives. You have heard this song a number of times. We will see them in play, that is this afternoon. We are also talking about adverbs. Okay, these words that precede a verb, the action, something has to be said. We are also talking about what? Strong verbs. Does it mean we don't have strong verbs? We do have verbs. It's an actioning word, but there are verbs when you use, when you read them, you're like, something is jolted in you. It catches your attention in a way. We are also talking about nouns. So all of these, my dear Lena, they come into play. These are parts of speech. Let us move on. Also, we are talking about usage of figures of speech. Now, we know, we've been singing the song many times, my dear Lena, together. The similes, the metaphors, the personification, the hyperbole, the list is actually endless. We have contrast, we have ironies and everything. Again, we are talking about appealing to the 5 senses. Let me write this. 5 senses. There is no story that we are going to read. When we read it, we are left, unfeeling in a way. We must be able to say something. You must be able to hear something in that particular text. Definitely, we must be able to touch in a way, not necessarily that we are eating or something, we are touching it there, but the words that are used, we feel like, oh, now there's a sense of what? Of touch in a way. And then we are talking about taste, the way the language is used. So the appeal to the 5 senses, or what we are saying is visual, or it's imagery in a way, my dear Lena. Like, we can actually visualize this. There is a picture which is formed in the mind of the writer, which we are saying, of the reader rather, which we are saying that is the main purpose for a descriptive text. And of course, sentence and tense variations, my dear Lena. Now, this is a narrative descriptive text that you are going to be reading and appreciating together this afternoon. So, the tense, it may be, this one is in the past, but sometimes you will find it in the present tense. We call it the habitual tense. It's happening now. For example, as soon as I enter the studio, everyone is mom. It's happening now, my dear Lena. But the past, we are used to it. So this is a narrative descriptive text. Let's look at the style features, but they are not limited to these, my dear Lena, at home. Now let us move on and read this particular text. Read the following text titled The Deserted House. Title: The Deserted House. Already there's an image which is formed here. Okay, now, if it's a deserted house, then how does it look like? What is it about this particular house? Well, welcome on board, my dear Lena. This is what we are going to see. How the style which we talked about, how language actually, comes into play. How the adjectives, how the adverbs, the strong verbs, the nouns, and probably some figures of speech, and how we appeal to the 5 senses in a way. Maybe not all of them, but let's see them probably at play in this text that we are reading this afternoon. So, the deserted house. Why didn't they just title this, The House That Was Forgotten? Forgotten house. Oh, okay. Forgotten. Okay, then we move, right? But the deserted, something stops you. Deserted house. What is it about this particular house? So this is a narrative descriptive. This is somebody's experience that they are sharing with us, my dear Lena, at home. So, let's move. The deserted house, I walked that road every day on my way to school and had often walked at the house, but that day I actually stopped to look at it properly. Verbs: walked, glanced, and then there's a change. You just walk. Sometimes, you know, look at the difference in the verbs. You know, he was just walking every now and then. I was just walking, passing by, okay? And look at the usage of this verb, glanced. Didn't pay attention, just glanced. Oh, that's it. Then I'm moving on. But then look at this, you know, conjunction. But that day I actually stopped. Something has caught the attention of this particular writer. To look at it what? Properly. Adverb again, properly. What is it about this particular, you know, house that you are talking about, the deserted house? And I'm sure you are wondering, my dear Lena, right now, what is it about this particular house? So from the onset, my dear Lena, right here, there is suspense that is drawing us here, you know, suspense. Properly, we are asking ourselves, what is it about this particular house? Let's move on. So we have seen that. Look at, like I said, the verbs walked, glanced, you know, like it's something you're just doing as a by the way, they are just glance. But this particular, I stopped. So there's something which is triggering what? Interest in this particular writer. And then looked at it properly. Not looked at it, you know, giving much attention, but just use the word properly. So this word has been used for effect, my dear Lena. Let's move on. I'm not sure what drew my attention to it. Maybe it was the creaking gate or the banging of the door at the end of the path as the wind whistled through it into the house. Let's just look at this, you know. I'm not sure. It is informal. I'm sure you are asking, isn't a descriptive supposed to be formal all the way? Now you can see this is a personal what? Experience. I'm not sure. So I'm allowed because I'm sharing it with you about the deserted house. Okay, this is my experience which the writer is sharing with us. So I'm not sure. It is informal in a way. Remember, my dear Lena, I said, the fact that you are supposed to write a letter to a friend, a letter to a relative, which is informal, of course, it doesn't mean that it's all about just, you know, on letters, but it means there is an element of what? Of description that is involved, which is why now we are seeing an element of informal language, my dear Lena. So, let's move. We have seen the difference in the verbs. And then let's move. The writer says, I'm not so sure what drew my attention. Somebody could say, what caught my attention? Or what was it about this particular house? But they chose the verb word. What drew? This is something nabbing. This is something which is engrossing. This is something which is saying, I'm just attentive. I need to say this. So the careful usage of this particular verb, the writer has said, I'm going to use drew my attention. And I'm sure your attention is also drawn, my dear, and as we move on. Listen to this. Says, maybe it was the creaking gate, banging of the door. These are sounds. Very good, my dear Lena. Creaking of the gate, as much as these are sounds, which means the sense of hearing has already been applied right now. Or the banging of the door. Again, look at this particular, the usage of this banging, not just pushing, but what? Bang. It has so much what? Effect in it, the way that it's done. Or the wind, what? Whistle. The sound over there, okay? Someone can actually say a good example of onomatopoeia. This is a sound, my dear Lena, wind whistled. And if you like, you may actually say this is what? Because this is alliteration. Why? We have WW, consecutively. So following each other. So in this case, these are sounds, my dear Lena. Now, they are used for effect. Right now, I'm sure you can pick the creaking of the gate, the banging of the door, and the whistle of the wind into the house. Let's move on. Something drew me from the pavement. Again, repetition for effect. The verb comes back from the pavement towards the overgrown privet hedge. Look at this description of the outside of the house. The title said the deserted house, but so caring about it. So it's giving us back to the topic. This is one place which is deserted, overgrown, private what? Age. We can visualize this, my dear, so we can see and appeal to the five senses. So, which partially obscured the rotting wooden gate. You know, the grass is so much, that the hedge is so much in such a way that it is even obscuring, it is even what? Hiding. Why didn't the writer say hide, but chose this verb, obscured, a strong verb for effect? The writer wants to say, I've been drawn. What is it about it? But now the hedge is so much. Remember, Italis again with the title, The Deserted What? House. So already we can see our attention is actually taken by this particular description. And we have not, my dear, and actually started on the house itself. It is just there outside. What do we have again? We have the creaking gate, the banging door, the whistling of the wind, and then boom, in front of the writer, we have now an overgrown what? Hedge. And it is obscured, not just any gate, but it's what? Rotting wooden gate. Look at this phrase, my dear. And it's an adjectival what? Phrase. Rotting wooden gate right now. So what is actually happening at this particular moment? We can see that this place, if it was me passing by, I would think twice about actually going into the deserted house. Let's move on, my dear Lena. With the paint peeling from it, this is one deserted house. Even the paint is one, the gate is rotten. Now the paint is peeling from it. We can say these things, my dear, and we can actually envision what we are given at this particular point in time. Let's move with the writer. As I stepped inside the gate, I was astounded by how unkept it was. Why doesn't the writer say I was shocked? But Rook used astounded, that verb, okay, for effect. Like, I was really rattled by this. How unkept, how untidy, how uncared for, how abundant this particular, even just the scenery outside, the landscape of some sort, how much it was. Let's move on. The long grass was a wilderness. Exaggeration for effect. If you like, you can say probably it's a metaphor. It's for effect. The long grass was a wilderness. First of all, we had what? A hedge, which is obscuring even the gate. Now we have what? The long what? Grass. Not just grass, but the long grass was a wilderness. Picture a wilderness, my dear. Exactly. I'm sure right now this is one lifeless place. Exactly. That is the point I'm trying to drive home, which means what? This is really a deserted house. And how is this place? It's a wilderness now. It says it was filled with crisp packets and cans and any other rubbish. The usage of nouns. Crisp packets, not just packets, but crisp. There's noisy in a way now, and it's not going to rot anytime soon. And cans, we can visualize this again. There's an element of touch in a way, and any other rubbish. So this is one unkept place. This is one abundant place, my dear Lena, that people felt like hurling over. Let's look at this simile which has been used for effect. Like hurling over the hedge or gate. To hurl something. Just to throw, and carrying this, just hurling over. These people, which means this place actually, there is nobody who cares about, even everyone who moves around. Oh, I can just throw in there. I can just throw in there. It's a deserted what? Place. So verbs have been used again. Nouns, we can see the exaggeration or metaphor, if you like, the sounds that we saw on the other slide, which shows us this is really indeed a deserted place. Let's move on. There were remains of an oriental takeaway meal. This is what the writer sees in this deserted house. And remember, we have not even gotten into the house right now. We are just on the outside, which looked like it had attracted rodents. By now, a picture of a deserted house, a deserted place, an abandoned place, a forsaken place is actually created in your mind. But that is not what we're trying to say. Is see how language is used for effect. So don't take don't ignore, the language that you read out there. Take something and then look for what is the meaning of this word. Can I use it probably in an essay, in a letter, in a script, in a play, in an advertisement, or in a report. So it had attracted rodents. This is so creepy, my dear. I'm sure rodents. And the minute you say that, it's telling you this is one place you don't want to visit. But this writer is so brave, such way. I'm going to give you every detail of this particular place, as well as long grass. Repetition. The wilderness was full of thistles, and there were dandelion seeds blowing everywhere. Let's stop here. Not only is the problem with the gates and everything, even the atmosphere, the landscape, it's so dirty. Now we have rodents, and look at the wilderness that was described to us. It has what? Thistles. What is a thistle? This is a type of a plant. Okay, my dear, it's a type of a plant which is so spiky. It's a weed actually. You cannot just pick it up, so easily. You just it's going to spike you. So it already tells us this is one place. Even if you may want to rescue it, even if you may want to do something, but you have to think twice, because the minute you step your foot in this particular environment or landscape, there are thistles that are going to spike you. So again, you can tell that this is one abandoned place. And then let's look at this one, my dear. There were dandelion seeds blowing everywhere. There is no space for you and me. I would actually I would think, because if it's blowing everywhere, it's so much of it all over the place, this dandelion seeds, and this is telling us this is actually a no-go area, my dear Lena. So let's move on then. I tried to make this just look at this, like I was saying, the deserted from the onset, it was actually a complex, creating suspense. I'm not sure, informal language showing it's a personal experience, like I've said, my dear Lena. Of course, the sounds over there that they've given us. Now, how creepy the environment is. The usage of the verbs as you are singing, the true, the obscured, and the repetition over now, my dear. The description of the landscape, it's so uninviting. The rotting wooden gate, like we said, the paint peeling gate. I just did this so that you can pick that, these are the facts that we have actually commented on. And exactly the exaggeration. The long grass was a wilderness, which shows how unkept this place is. Actually, there's litter everywhere, which is telling us this is a deserted place. Even the presence of rodents, there's similes and everything, my dear Lena, at home. Now, so we've talked about this, like the repetition and then the presence of thistles. Like it really is a forsaken place. It is an uninviting place, because you go there, this is going to spike you in a way. So my dear Lena at home, I hope after this lesson you have realized that a pictorial effect of a deserted place has been created through words, my dear Lena. Okay, and also we have engaged the senses. It may not actually be all of them, but somehow when we describe something to eat and stuff like that, some of the senses have actually been engaged. And also you may agree with me that we have seen adjectives, verbs, and nouns, strong verbs actually in use, and even adverbs. Of course, we have also seen the figures of speech. Some of them were the similes, the exaggeration, my dear Lena, and the complex sentences. Why are they here? There is so much that the writer is giving us. So my dear Lena at home, preparing for the next lesson, we are going to use the same text and you're going to answer questions based on it. For now, I want to go through it. If you are able, probably to take a screenshot of some, if you are able, but we'll bring it back so that we can have questions based on this particular text, my dear Lena. And I hope that you have learned something while you're keeping safe and staying home.
Thank you so much, Futhi, for your wonderful lesson. Thank you so much. And we're hoping your Form 4s, obviously, they enjoyed it. And we'll be seeing you soon, I'm sure.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, viewers at home, that was the last lesson for the day. We're hoping that you really did enjoy that and are looking forward to Wednesday afternoon's learning. And this is what your Wednesday afternoon looks like. From 2 p.m. until 2:30 p.m., we have the grade 1 and 2 mathematics lesson. From 2:30 p.m. until 3 p.m. we have Siswati for the grades 3 and 4. From 3 p.m. until 3:30 p.m. we have Science for the grades 3 and 4. From 3:30 p.m. until 4 p.m. we have Additional Mathematics for the Form 1s and 2s. From 4 p.m. until 4:30 p.m. we have Biology for the Form 4s. And the last lesson for the day for the Form 4s from 4:30 p.m. until 5 p.m. is Religious Education. And of course, a reminder about our social media platforms. We are live from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. on our YouTube and our Facebook channels. And of course, do not forget to click on that subscribe button on our YouTube channel and that bell there to get notifications of when we are live, and to use our WhatsApp number to text us any questions that you might have. Now, from myself and the team here in studio, I will see you guys 2 p.m. sharp tomorrow, which is a Wednesday afternoon. Goodbye and God bless. Bye.